WeatherTech SportsCar Championship on IMSA Radio.
31 cars come to life here at Lime Rock. Thousands of horsepower. Jeremy Shaw going to be unleashed around this 7-turn, 1.5-mile road course. We've finally gotten just enough cloud cover that maybe the heat won't be quite as oppressive as it has been. It's starting to cloud up just a little bit, but they're big, white, fluffy clouds, so there isn't really any danger of any precipitation, certainly. But this could knock the temperature down just a little bit, which would be great for not only these fans, but these drivers.
It will be great for drivers, it'll be great for the tires too. Yes, but oh yeah, I'm so ready for this one. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. I always look forward to coming to Lime Rock Park. Lots of friends around this part of the world, and it's a great little racetrack. There's so much atmosphere here. This is the bull ring of road racing. Absolutely love it. Can't wait to get this race underway.
I like to say it's road racing's answer to sprint cars.
Yes.
48-second laps, between 48 and 50 seconds. There's not time to rest. There's not time to blink in traffic. Fans, keep your head on a swivel because you won't want to miss a thing. We've got 3 classes of racing. There's going to be passing and moves being made throughout the afternoon. 2 hours and 40 minutes. That means 2 pit stops. Lots of strategy to be played out as we go through the 2 hours and 40 minutes. Whose car will have an advantage? Whose car, what team will react to adversity better? That sort of stuff. We've already talked a little bit about our IHG Reward Club keys to the race. Survive the heat, pit stop strategy, and patience in traffic. All things that are going to be hugely important.
And you know that traffic factor, just look at the top speeds of the cars here at Lime Rock Park. The prototype cars, PC cars, they're going to do a maximum about 160 miles an hour. The GTLM cars, maximum about 153. The GTD cars, 150. Pretty close, isn't it? It's not as big a differential as you would think. 3 different classes, and each of the classes make their speeds in different ways. But you know, passing on the straightaway, that's generally the easiest place to make a pass. Not quite so easy when the cars are all doing fairly similar speeds.
And we've already heard some of the GTLM drivers talk about how difficult it is to get by some of the quicker GTD cars because of that, Jeremy. And that's where patience in traffic, picking your spot to pass, is going to come in very important throughout this race. We've completed the first of our 2 formation laps, then we'll have a pace lap, then we'll be underway.
Yep, and making a pit stop here, you'll almost lose pretty much exactly a lap compared to your competition. I was talking to a couple of the engineers, they both said if we were going side by side with somebody coming into the pits and one of us stayed on the racetrack and one came in, by the time we'd rejoin, we'd just about be side by side again. That's about how long it takes to make a pit stop here. Just a drive-through is about 24, 25 seconds, something like that. But to make a full pit stop, you're going to lose a whole lap around here. And so keeping that pit stop time to a minimum, even more important here than it is at every race on the schedule.
We've already talked about the situation at the front of the field. John Bennett will start at the back of the PC class, despite Colin Brown being the fastest in qualifying. That means Robert Alon will take the cars to the green flag in the PR1 Matheson entry. That team has had 2 seconds, a first, and 2/3 this season, Jeremy. They have had an absolutely fantastic performance.
Yeah, indeed, and they trail in the championship points by just 14 from the number 8 car for Starworks Motorsports. That's Alex Popower and Renger van der Zande, who will start from the 4th position on this grid. So we're still 3 or 4 races to go in this championship, plenty to play for in PC.
And that car, the number 8 car, has had 2 firsts, 3 seconds, and a third, and that's the difference. That 1 extra second place finish is why they are leading the points. So every point counts, every position counts, and that will be the case again today here at Lime Rock. So we'll be waiting for the lights to go out on the pace car, and that will be the signal that we will be getting ready to go green. The field is making its way through the S's and down the back straightaway. Of course, remember, unlike our race this morning, the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge that did not use the chicane, these drivers will use the chicane that's at the bottom of the hill. The field is making its way up the top of the hill. The lights are out on the pace car. They're starting to form up 2 by 2. The prototypes will start first, and then about 30 seconds later, you'll see the GT cars get released. So it's a double green flag here at Lime Rock. Prototype challenge cars coming onto the front straightaway. The pace car, the Audi V10 Plus, pulls off. And we have double yellow. We have double yellow as there is contact in the back. Double yellow. We are not getting a start. The clock will start. The clock has started. Full course caution. There was contact in the back of the field, Jeremy. In fact, there's a legality panel laying in the middle of the racetrack, that what we call a little cheese board that's at the back of the, somebody in the back of the pack was getting a little antsy.
I think it was at the front of the pack, actually. I think it was number 7 car getting a bit too close to the pole sitting car. And I think it might be the legality panel at cheese wedge on the, behind the rear wheel on the pole sitting car. I might be wrong. Let's have a look at it again here on replay. You can see the number 52 car is lagging a little bit. Then he gets the jump.
Yes, it is.
And no, was it there?
Yeah, it was the 85. Okay. The 85 car moved to the center of the racetrack, and he got a little too close and clipped the car that was right in front of him. So he clipped the back of the number 8 car. It was. He clipped the back of the number 8 car. So Renger Vendesander already has damage to his car.
It does indeed.
I'm sorry. Yes, Alex Popoff is starting the car. Thank you, Shay.
Yep, the championship leader then already with some damage. Shouldn't slow him down too much. But here we go. We're going to take 2 here for the start of this race.
Here we go. Waiting for the green flag to be shown. Still no green flag.
Yeah.
Well, they were in formation when they came down the hill, but then they all scattered. And this has got to be really frustrating for these guys in the GT, because they're going, what the heck's going on? Why? We're all lined up.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm sure the reason the yellow was shown initially was because of that bit of debris flying through the air. That was probably a smart move. You don't want to be bits of car bouncing around on the racetrack.
Debris is still out there, and that's probably why they did not. Why they did not get the green flag. One of the pit lane officials has gone out and gathered that. We have a course intervention vehicle out on the racetrack as well. So we are off to a little bit of a rocky start here. The clock is running, however. This is a time certain 2-hour and 40-minute race. So we have 2 hours, 37 minutes, and 50 seconds to go, and we haven't seen any racing in anger yet. Now we're going to see if third time is the charm.
Take 3,
That's
fellas.
right.
And again, somebody was trying to take an advantage there. The pole sitting car wasn't very quick off the mark, and the number 38 car was expecting a start, and the pole sitter didn't jump. But this time, let's hope it's a charm.
It's a good 2x2 start, but the GT cars are right on their tail this time, and the green flag waves, and it's a full start. There was no gap between GT and PC because the PC cars were going slow, and now there's contact between the number 85, and it looks like, was that the 38, Jeremy? They went side to side as they went into turn 1. So the 85 car, Misha Goikberg, has just been all over the racetrack here at the beginning. He's run into one car on the false start, and then now we've got one of the Fords off the racetrack, the number 67 car. That's our pole sitter in the GTLM category. He gets shoved off the racetrack, or just drove off the racetrack out of turn 2.
He's going to rejoin right at the back of the pack. My goodness me, that was an eventful start there. And
there's action, sorry, Jeremy, there's action on pit road. The 27 car has come in.
Strategy ploy for these guys. They brought him in after only 1 lap. They are changing all 4 tires, so they are getting him off of the tires he qualified on and doing the driver change already. Driver change taking the longest on this stop, but this is totally a strategy thing by the Dream Racing Lamborghini.
So Misha Goikberg is driving around with a lot of damage. He's got damage on the left front fender and damage to the left rear of the car, backed by the rear tire. And in the GT category, it is Bill Lauberlin that leads in the number 25 car, chased by the number 62, Rizzi Competizione, Tony Vilander. Actually, that's Dirk Werner, who has started the car for BMW. So it's Werner in the number 25, leading Tony Vilander, and then Tommy Milner in the number 4 car is right behind him. So that's how they shape up in GTLM. In GTD, Spencer Pumpelli in the number 16 Lamborghini is leading Andrew Davis in the number 6 Audi. Then they have the number 38 car with James French. That's the car who got clouded in the side by the number 85 of Goikberg. He's dropped all the way back into the middle of the GTD field, and he's separating Matt Bell and Andrew Davis. He's trying to work his way back into contention after getting clouded by Misha Goikberg and going into turn 1 after on the third try to get this thing underway.
Yeah, the two most significant losers there out of all that shenanigans at the start. The number 38 car is now back in the 17th position overall, and Richard Westbrook in the pole-sitting car in GTLM. He got elbowed off the road there coming through the S's. He's way back in 24th overall, so he's got to pick his way through all the GTD cars before he can latch onto the tail of the GTLM field.
So Robert Alon leads in the PC category. He's got his Orica number 52 out front by 0.6 of a second over Alex Popov in the number 8. Starworks Motorsports entry. And back in GTD, it's the Lamborghini and the two Audis, nose to tail as it going. And now trouble for the 100. The 100 has gone off the racetrack, so their troubles continue. John Edwards behind the wheel of that car, and he looks nonplussed. He's gone off on driver's left at the diving turn. This could be our second caution. He looks like he's having trouble. He was popping the gears. He was kind of making hand gestures that he's not quite sure what's going on. Coming down the hill, and he just goes around. I wonder if he had help. I wonder if he had help from one of the Porsches. There was a Porsche that was right behind him, and as he was making his way to the apex of the corner, all of a sudden he went all the way around and then went into the tire barrier sideways. So a full 180-degree spin, and we have a full course caution.
Goodness gracious me, it's been a really messy start to this race, hasn't it? And just unbelievable the amount of misfortune suffered by that number 100 car this season. We heard John Edwards say before the start he had more gearbox problems this morning. He changed the gearbox, I think it was yesterday, between the first and second sessions. And then to get taken out on really just the third lap of competition. Unbelievable.
So a wild first 7 minutes here in this race. Took 3 tries to get it started, and then we've got one of the BMWs that looked like it might have been from contact with one of the Porsches. Not sure which one it was. We'll have to look and see if there's any damage on
the car that was right behind. He was sort of between the number 911 and the number 912 on those opening laps of the race.
So it would have been the 912 that was behind him. He has gotten out of the car, and the IMSA safety vehicle is there. Some cars go by under caution. Up almost alongside it. Oh yeah, he punches him right in the, hits him right in the rear wheel. He was almost alongside though. That was, boy.
Yeah, at that point.
I'd be hard pressed to say that was anything but a racing accident, because he got in there quite deep, or he got in there too deep and shouldn't have been in that deep. But I'm sure John has an opinion. If you can look on his face.
Body language, everything there from John Edwards. Just massive disappointment from the young man. Just supreme talent, but just nothing going right for him this season. I mean, he turned into the corner. He didn't leave the Porsche an awful lot of room, it looked like there. And, you know, but he is still ahead turning into that corner. You know, everybody knows how difficult that corner is coming down the hill there. There is no margin for error. And the cars, they're absolutely flat out through that corner, these GTLM cars. So you've really got to be careful through there. And is there room for 2 cars side by side? No, there probably isn't. Should John Edwards have lifted off? Well,
no, he's leading.
Yeah, well,
he's leading. He's got the position.
But the other car has a half a car on him, so it's a tricky one.
Yeah, that was, like I said, that would probably, were I in race control, that would probably just be a racing incident. I don't know if I would apportion blame either way there, but that's a tough one. Like you said, that's a spot, and also it's a little early, but that's just my opinion.
Yep.
So our second caution of the day. First one, of course, was for the aborted starts and contact between the number 85 and the number 8 car. So the 88 and the 38 have tried to, they're on comeback drives now in the PC category. The 88 being Martin Kavame and the 38 being James French. 88 the second of the 3 Starworks cars. The regular competitors, the 8, the 88. They've been joined this weekend by the number 7 with Juan Gutierrez behind the wheel right now, who's currently 3rd in class. In the PC category. In GTLM, it's the BMW of Dirk Werner, who's leading. Tony Vielander in the number 62 Rizzi Competizione Ferrari. Then Tommy Milner in the number 4 Corvette. Joey Hand in the number 66 Ford. Jan Magnussen in the number 3 Corvette. And then Patrick Pilet in the 911 Porsche. In the GTD category, it's the Lamborghini number 16 of Spencer Pompelli, followed by the 2 Audis, number 6 with Andrew Davis and Matt Bell in the number 9 car. Then comes the Ferrari of Christina Nielsen, the Scuderia Corsa Ferrari, number 63. Then Madison Snow in the Lamborghini, number 48, and that rounds out your top 5 in the GTD category.
All right, this certainly isn't the start one would have hoped for on Fox Television, I must admit, but it's what it is. Super to see such a great crowd and such an enthusiastic and knowledgeable crowd here at Lime Rock Park. It's really one of the great places to come to. So much atmosphere here, and it's picturesque too. He's moving around there, Mario Farbacher, trying to keep the heat in the tyres.
Well, he was really cranking the full lock left to right, trying to keep heat, keep debris off the tires. It's as much as cleaning as it is trying to keep heat in them. Of course, most of the heat comes from braking.
Build the heat from the inside there, from the brake systems on the car. But that was the problem he had yesterday in qualifying, Mario Farbacher. He went out on the fresh tyres in qualifying. He knew that the tyres were going to be at their ultimate best on lap 3 or 4. And unfortunately, on that 3rd lap, he strayed 2 wheels onto the grass. Picked up a whole load of debris on the tyre. That car, he lost that lap, and then he spent the next several laps trying to weave around and get the dirt off of the tyres. But by then, the tyres are past their ultimate best, so he wasn't able to extract the maximum potential from that car yesterday in qualifying. But we know that Alex Job Racing, the heart of racing entry, is fast, and that team, they raise an awful lot of awareness and money for just looking to save children's lives worldwide. Spend a lot of money on pediatric cardiac research, and it's a great operation there that Don Kitch and the rest of the guys there at Heart of Racing do for not only for the sport but for the youngsters of this world.
Going to be sounding like I'm beating a drum, but we talked earlier about our IHG Rewards Club keys to the race, patience in traffic. So far, we've seen very little patience out on this racetrack, haven't we, Jeremy? Both from the PC competitors who took 3 tries to get this race underway, and then now from both the 912 and the 100, just not really giving each other enough room to race.
No, you're right. Attitudes have got to change, really, if the race is going to get better for these guys. For the number 100 car, it's all over now. They're not going to be unlikely to be able to take part in a race. It looks like to be consigned to another tail of the feed finish in GTLM, but it's just not what that car is deserving of. And all the team, the drivers, everybody has worked so hard to make that car competitive. It is competitive, but they just haven't been able to show it.
Let's see, they have an 11th, a 6th, a 10th, a 10th, an 8th, and a 9th, but some of those were really DNFs where they were awarded those finishing positions. So I would think the 10th place finishes were probably DNFs. Isn't that right, Shay?
I seem to remember, I know they didn't finish Long Beach for sure. And I can't remember. I know it's in my notebook, which is the most frustrating part. But it seems to me like this is their 4th DNF on the year.
Yeah. Third, I reckon. So they didn't finish at Daytona, didn't finish at Long Beach. So they have finished all the other races. The 10th place finish at Mazda Raceway Lagoon Seca, they were running there, I believe. And the 9th place finish also last time out at Canadian Time Motorsport. So 2 DNFs so far.
So this will be their 3rd DNF on the season. 2 hours and 25 minutes to go, and we have unfortunately spent most of our first 15 minutes of this race pretty much under caution, both with the aborted starts and now this caution as the 100 car has been removed from the racetrack. So hopefully we will be back to action very shortly. As the onboard pictures show a very forlorn BMW on the back of a flatbed working its way through the paddock. That's not where a race car wants to be seen from.
2.5 hours remaining in a 2 hours and 40 minute race. That's for absolutely sure.
Also interesting, Jeremy, that some of the cars with damage, most notably the 85 car, has chosen not to come in during this caution and make any repairs. So they're going to aerodynamic aids really aren't that big of a deal here on this racetrack.
No, and if you make a pit stop now, you'd rejoin at the very tail of the field. You have to work your way through all that traffic, and you'll certainly lose a lot of time to the leaders by doing so. So you really do want to keep your car out of the pits if you possibly can.
I suspect if they do make a pit stop under caution when it's a scheduled pit stop, they will try to at least maybe put a new nose on the car. Of course, these are all modular bodies that they just have clips for that they can pull off and put a new one on. So if they do it right, they wouldn't lose a lot of time. Wouldn't want to do it on a green flag stop, certainly. But on a caution pit stop would be a bad plan. So in GTLM, it is exactly what we thought it was going to be. We've got 4 different manufacturers in the first 4 spots: BMW and the guys at number 25. Dirk Werner, then Tony Vilander in the Ferrari, then the Chevy and the Ford. And it looks like we are going to go back to green. Tawny Cortell, our starter, has got the green flag in her hands. Robert Alon is bringing the field down the diving turn single file at a nice pace. He stomps on the gas, and here we go. Green flag waves, and we are underway again here in the Northeast Grand Prix. So Alon will lead them down into turn 1. Misha Goikberg tries another inside move, this time on John Bennett. I don't know if he made that stick or not. It was awful close. Looked like there was going to be contact. Yes, he has made it through and taken over 1 position. Behind him, the GT field is holding position. The top 4 or 5 cars just lining up and taking it cautiously through the first turn. Dirk Werner, Tony Vilander, Tommy Milner, Joey Hand, Jan Magnussen in that order as they head up through the chicane at full speed once again here at Lime Rock.
Yeah, and they're catching up to the tail end of the PC cars here. Some of the PC contenders not quite as quick as the others, and if the GTLM cars get amongst them, that's going to be really interesting in these next few laps.
Another team that's kind of struggled this weekend is the 540 Porsche in the GTD category. And Shay, they started from pit lane, did they not?
They did, and that's because they didn't take their grid spot, and they just served a drive-through penalty, which is part of the penalty that you get for starting from the pit lane. They did that, didn't actually stop and went right back out on track, but now they are way behind. They are just coming to the start-finish line now, and I would expect the PC cars to be coming through within the next 10 seconds as well.
Yeah, PC cars are coming down the hill right now and coming into view, and Robert Alon has pulled out quite a margin on that lap, Jeremy Shaw. That was a great lap for him.
Certainly was a great lap for Robert Alon, and to extend the lead now appreciably over the second place car. As you said earlier on the previous lap, Misha Goiberg able to get past the number 54 car of John Bennett, and John Bennett now has got into the groove, and he seems to be able to stay clearly ahead of the GTLM leader, that being Dirk Werner in the BMW. So heartbreak for one of the BMWs, the other one really running strongly there at the front, taking the lead at the start of this race after the problems for the Ford number 67 on that first lap. In the meantime, Richard Westbrook, he's still working his way through. He's up into 19th place overall at this stage.
Robert Alon, indeed, with the fastest lap of the race so far, 50.031 there on lap 15. That's given him a 1.6 second advantage over Alex Popov in the number 8 Starworks car. Then the 7 Starworks car is in 3rd place with Juan Gutierrez, and they're chased by number 20, Matt McMurray, in the BR1 Motorsports entry. James French doing an excellent job in a comeback drive in the number 38 car. He's now only has 3 GTLM cars to get past before he can start running with the PC cars again. He is 10th overall, 7th in the class. Remember, on the first lap, he was knocked off the racetrack by Misha Goikberg. So for James French, this is a bit of a comeback drive.
Good lap though for our race leader again, Robert Alon, new fastest lap of the race, 49.7 that time around. And he is really pulling away now from the second place car of Alex Popov.
Now has a 3.062 second advantage over Popov, who has a 0.3 second advantage over Juan Gutierrez. In GT3, Dirk Werner has a 0.6 second advantage over Tony Vilander. And then Vilander is probably about a 0.1 second ahead of Tommy Milner in the number 4 Corvette. Almost running 2x2 here. We've got the BMW, the Ferrari, then Corvette, Ford, Corvette, and then the 2 Ferrari, or I'm sorry, the 2 Porsches.
Yeah, and 2 Porsches are hanging right there, aren't they, on the tail end of that grid. They're not losing any ground now at this stage in the race. And there's number 7, Jose Gutierrez, trying to make a move on his teammate there. The 2 Star Works entries. You've got to be careful here, of course. You might be a little bit quicker, Jose Gutierrez, the youngster from Monterrey, Mexico. But Alex Popov is leading the championship for that team, so he can't afford to be too forceful in making that pass. By the same token, maybe Alex Popov should realize if the youngster is quicker, maybe should just let him go and settle into that 3rd position.
Yeah, because he's not going to be losing any points because that car's not entered in the championship, correct? So he wouldn't lose necessarily second place points to that car.
Well, he will lose second place points. It's not running a full season, but he is eligible for points, certainly. But still, you know, discretion, the better part of valor.
Yeah, that's for sure. In GTD, it continues to be a Lamborghini Audi show at this point. Spencer Popelli, who put on quite a show in our earlier race today, the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge, is leading in the number 16 Change Racing Lamborghini. Then he's chased by the 2 Audis, the Stevenson Motorsports Audis. Andrew Davis in the number 6, that's the car with the red trim. And then the car with the blue trim is the number 9 with Matt Bell behind the wheel. Then comes our points leader, Christina Nielsen, in the number 63 Ferrari. The Lamborghini of Madison Snow is in 5th position, and then the first of our Porsches, Mario Farnbacher, is 6th in the number 23 Alex Jobe entry. So you've got Lamborghini, 2 Audis, Ferrari, another Lamborghini, and Porsche in the top 6. First of our BMWs is 7th, that's Brett Curtis, in the number 96 Turner Motorsports entry.
Fastest lap there was on the previous lap by Robert Alon in car number 52 of 49.4. Extended that lead now to 5 seconds over Alex Popov in 2nd place. Meanwhile, the gap in GTLM, the lead is just sort of pretty much keeping pace with one another. Dirk Werner ahead of Tony Vilander, and Tommy Milner, Jerry Hand, Jan Magnussen, all separated by, well, really just 7 or 8 car lengths each, maybe a little bit more than that, but certainly nothing significant.
Sometimes in GTD, it gives us some of our best racing of the weekend. Right now, the best battle is the Madison Snow and Christina Nielsen. Snow is all over Nielsen, and Mario Farnbacher has a great view of it. He's just about a 1/10 second behind them, as one of the Dream Racing number 27 has gone off the racetrack at Big Bend, off on driver's left, as has the number 33 Viper. So both cars off the racetrack at Big Bend. 33 car being driven by Ben Keating. Looking to see if there's any damage. Doesn't look like there's any damage to that car.
And they were running in concert with one another. The 27 car, however, was a lap down after making that early driver change from Larry DeGeorge. Odd strategy there from Dream Racing. I mean, it was Cedric Bourgeois who started the car, and then who qualified the car. Then they elected to change drivers, have Larry DeGeorge start, and they came straight in the pits to change back again. I'm not quite sure what the thinking is there. But
maybe
of course,
they just
Larry
changed
DeGeorge,
their mind.
Well, yeah, and Larry has very, very little racing experience. So this is always going to be a tough ask for him this weekend, because there's so much going on all the time that you know, you've got to make sure he doesn't get in over his head effectively.
We talked about our points leader, Christina Nielsen, being in a great battle with the number 48 Lamborghini of Madison Snow. An anxious person watching that is her co-driver, Belzon.
Alessandro, you're pretty calm watching Christina in the car. It's been a good year for the two of you so far with a couple of wins. You don't have a win at Lime Rock, though, do you?
No, actually with the P4, we are really happy. Christina is giving really good feedback about the car. So it's still a really long race to go. I think everybody will face a drop on the tires. So we just start the race now. We want really to see where we go last 20 minutes on the stint.
Does the Ferrari like the heat?
Well, I think nobody of us like the heat, but no, we really worked hard yesterday about making the car comfortable on the heat. It's not so bad like yesterday. It looks a little bit better today. So at the end of the race will be good.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Alessandro Belzon, Jeremy, has been a great addition to that team. The youngster Christina Nielsen has got a lot of skill, but it's great to have the guiding hand of a veteran like Belzon who can not only help her, but help the team and keep everything focused and headed in the right direction.
Absolutely right. A lot of experience in a lot of different cars, particularly Ferrari's a former winner of the Ferrari Challenge in Europe, three-time winner of the Porsche Carrera Cup Challenge in Italy, and also a winner, of course, over here with Ferrari in the Rolex GT Series a few years ago as well. So huge amount of success, really nice guy, and loves working with the Scuderia Corsa team. Does an excellent job.
Early pit stop for the number 48. Madison Snow brings that Lamborghini onto the pit road. He was in a great battle with Christina Nielsen. What's the situation, Shay?
They didn't do a driver change. They just gave him 4 new Continental tires. So maybe he used up a bit too much in qualifying. Already back out, gave him a bit more fuel as well. Maybe looking to push the stint.
I wonder also, we need to check and make sure it's not another flat situation, because that's what plagued that team at Watkins Glen. Madison Snow had numerous left rear tire failures on that car, and they put it down to too much curb hopping. And so once they got him to stay off the curbs, things got a little bit better, but hopefully that isn't the same situation here today.
Yeah, because you're right. He made an early stop, didn't he? Last couple of races, I think, Madison. And they were able to bounce back from it, but you don't want to be doing that too often.
That's going to drop him all the way down to 12th in the category. And especially here at Lime Rock, where when you make a pit stop under green, you're pretty much going to go a lap down. So now not only are you trying to make up track position, but you're trying to make up laps. And that's very, very difficult to do.
Exactly right. It's very costly here. You really want to stay out of the pits if you possibly can, because they're going to have to make, it's too early. Well, no, they can probably make the end here on just, what, did Shea change, they did top up with fuel or not?
It's a strategy call. Shea saying, Shea, did they top up with fuel? They did they?
Yes, they did, and it was a strategy call. There was no worry about any tire going down, and I looked at the tires that came off the car. They look pretty good, actually.
Yeah, fine.
All right, so it's the first strategy move. Our Continental Tire pit lane reporter, Shea Adam, reporting. And pit stop strategy, one of our IHG Rewards Club keys to the race, Jeremy. That's the first team to really do something perhaps different than anyone else.
Indeed. It'll take 2 pit stops for the GTD cars. They've got the first one out of the way now. They'll have another one. It'll mean that they don't have a lot of leeway in terms of when they make that next pit stop, but it should be their last.
Trouble for the 911. The Porsche 911 has pulled off on driver's right at the top of the hill before the right-hander that leads you on this little short chute that takes you to the diving turn. And this brings us our 3rd full course caution of the day as that car has come to a stop. It looked like he tried to get back going again, but then stopped. So I don't know if this is if he's had an issue or if this is just a mechanical problem and he's pulled off the side of the racetrack. So 2 hours and 11 minutes remaining in our 2 hour and 40-minute race. 3rd caution of the day in our first half hour.
Yeah, and that's where this strategy comes unglued. If the car lost a lap, the number 48 car I'm talking about here, and I'll have to wait until they come round again. Is this the 48 car here?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it is. So I think therefore they got away with that. They made that pit stop and he's been able to get out, I think, without losing a lap. So that is absolutely crucial.
Wow, that would have been a heck of a stop. 4 tires and fuel. Of course, he wouldn't have needed much fuel at this point, would he?
He wouldn't, but it's still an excellent job by that team to get the car back underway again.
off to driver's right.
Something like a drive shaft went there, perhaps something like that, because all
he
of a
really
sudden
clouded the curb,
he did cloud the curb really, really hard, and it just didn't seem to be any drive going up the hill there.
And that is a big curb, and it's a big curb for a reason, because they don't want you using the curbs there.
Yeah.
So our third caution of the day, Robert Alon continues to lead from Alex Popoff. Alon in the PR1 Matheson number 52. Alex Popoff in the multicolored number 8 from Starworks. Then comes the second of the Starworks 3 cars, the number 7 with Juan Gutierrez behind the wheel. Matt McMurray is 4th in the number 20 BR1 Motorsports Orica. Then Misha Goikberg in the number 85, still running around out there with the damage. John Bennett in the Core Autosports number 54, and then James French has now caught up, and this caution will actually help James French, because now he will be right on the tailpipes of not only John Bennett, but also Misha Goikberg. And here comes your leader down the pit lane, Shea Adam.
We've only had 2 PC takers for the pit stop. The number 52, the leader, Robert Alon, will be staying behind the wheel of that car. They have 4 new Continental tires ready for him, though, so they will top him up with fuel. Everyone coming down the pit lane at once. We're going to see a driver change for the 912. Earl Bamber is running around the car as fast as his legs can carry him. The 911 has made its way back into the pit lane as well. 25 is here. They got fuel and 1 tire change. As far as I can tell, I only see 1 Michelin left on the pit lane. 62 came in. They did 2 tires as well. The 912 did 4 tires. And the BMW did a 2 tire change, I'm being told. Thank you, Jim. Matt McMurray goes back out. The 67 is still on the pit lane, though. They're having issues changing the right rear of that car. They are doing all 4 tires on that one, but the right rear gave him some problem as Richard Westbrook goes back out. So the only driver change that I saw was Earl Bamber into the 912, but the 919 is sitting here all by its lonesome.
Okay, so the reason the GTLM cars all came in now, they didn't need to come in now. They've got plenty of fuel to go a lot further, but from here, they can make it to the end of the race on 1 pit stop. I reckon the GTLM cars can run about 1 hour and 10 minutes here, which is more than usual. We talked about it very briefly before the start of the race, because Lime Rock Park is one of the tracks on the circuit where there's least amount of full throttle running. They use a lot less fuel than they do at many of the other racetracks on the schedule, so therefore they get better fuel consumption, and therefore they can go longer between making pit stops. But the strategy is now, with 2 hours and 5 minutes to go, or 7 minutes to go as it is now, they should have plenty of fuel on board just to make 1 more stop with around about 1 hour to go to get to the end of this race.
And the entire GTD field, it looks like, Shea, has come on the pit lane.
It really feels like it, Jim. We saw no tires and fuel for the Turner cars. Both of them match the same strategy. We saw left sides only for the 2 Audis. That did come in, the 6 and the 9. Fuel and tires for the 23 and the 63. The 23 is still on pit lane. No driver changes for any of them. The 16 came in and did their tricky driver change strategy that they're planning. Spencer Pompelli jumping out, Corey Lewis getting in. Expect to see those 2 reverse positions again later in the race. They got fuel and tires.
So that was a bit of madness, as pretty much the entire GTD field came on pit road. The only 2 that didn't are the number 22 of Cooper McNeil and the number 44 of John Potter. Everyone else came to the pits. So
I think
again,
I think neither Ben Keating came onto pit lane nor the number 48 car, which had already made its stop a little while ago. So of the cars that have made their pit stops, the 48 car is leading in GTD.
Green flag waves, and we are back to action, and it is Alex Popoff which will lead who will lead the field into turn 1, chased by Juan Gutierrez. Then behind him it's Misha Goikberg, John Bennett, John French, and Mark Kavame. Looking to see where the Matt McMurray is way down the field, as is Robert Alon, because of those pit stops. Robert Alon is mired right in the middle of an absolutely nose-to-tail GT battle between the Ferrari and the number 4 Corvette. The Ferrari being Tony Vilander in the number 62 car, and the 4 Corvette being Tommy Milner.
Yeah, and so that's curious. They didn't reset the field there, did they? Because I guess that was deemed a quickie yellow. I don't know, honestly. Normally they would reset the field, but they didn't. Did they? Maybe there was none required.
Yeah, I don't think there was. I don't think there was any required. Full field streams by us here in our broadcast position. It's just an absolutely lovely sound to hear all the different pitch that each of the engines has. It's just music to my ears, I can tell you that much. So Alex Popov leads from Juan Gutierrez. Misha Goikberg, who has come out of all of this smelling like a rose pretty much. He's 2.1 seconds out of the lead. James French is back in the hunt now, only 3.3 seconds out of the lead. A great comeback drive for him. In GTLM, it is as they were before the pit stops. Dirk Werner, Tony Wielander, the BMW number 25 for Werner, and Wielander in the number 62 Ferrari. Then it's the 2 Corvettes, Tommy Milner in the 4, Jan Magnussen in the 3, then Earl Bamber in the 912, then Joey Hand in the number 66 as now the 3 car comes to the pit lane. Yeah, it's a penalty, Shea Adam tells us.
Yeah, something that went wrong during their pit stop. I'm going to go find out exactly what it was, but there is nobody waiting to greet him. Not a stop and hold. It is a straight back through.
So drive-through penalty for Jan Magnussen. That's going to, boy, that's going to be tough. That drops him almost all the way to the end of the field. The only car that's behind him now is the 911, which had stopped out on the racetrack. The 911, by the way, is back underway. Back down in, because of the laps lost, back down in 30th position, next to last in the class in 8th position. What was the situation with the 3, Shay?
A very rare moment of Corvette Racing having a lapse in their pit stop. Their tire, when they were doing a change, rolled out into the fast lane, which wouldn't have been such a big deal, except that the 52 hit it square on. So that's why he made the pass down pit lane.
All right, that also explains a little bit about why the 52 may be a little bit further back after his pit stop than I thought he should have been, certainly, because it was a good pit stop for them. So he now has to try and fight his way back up to the PC battle. In GTD, it's the 22, Cooper McNeil from Alex Job Racing, who leads, chased by John Potter, just a second behind in the number 44 Magnus Audi. Then Ben Keating, who Jeremy rightly said did not pit. We're still waiting for his first pit stop in the number 33 Viper. He is in 3rd position. And then the number 48. In fact, the 48 is he about to go a lap down, or has he gone a lap down? Madison Snow in the number 48, because he's running right amongst the Audis. So yes, it looks like he is in battle for position with Matt Bell. That's what's going on. So Ben Keating has been passed by the number 9 Stevenson Audi, driven by Matt Bell. So it's the Porsche of Cooper McNeil, number 22, leading the class. Number 44, John Potter, 2nd. Then the 48 of Madison Snow, 3rd. And then Matt Bell, who made a pit stop just recently, in 4th position. Easy for me to keep straight.
Yeah, I tell you, this is going to be an intriguing race from here, because there's a lot of strategic calls to be made. There goes the number 52 car that led very convincingly early in this race, moving now past the GT LM leader, but Robert Long now down in the 7th position, and they're trying to make up some track time, because by making that pit stop with all the other leaders, with some of the other leaders not making a pit stop, only the 52 car and number 20 made their pit stops in PC.
33 car comes to the pit lane. Shea Adam, you said that car had some damage. I wonder why they would pit now, Jeremy, and not under the caution.
Well, if it's damaged, then they need to fix it. They're changing tyres, they're fueling the car directly in front of us.
Shea?
They've left Ben Keating in the car, so it wasn't a drive time thing. It wasn't that they were thinking about that. One of the crew guys ran out to the wall to actually look at the car. They've changed all 4 tires, and they haven't actually done any work to the car, but the crew guy went out to the wall, gave the thumbs down, signaling that something was wrong. It might have just been that there was a load of grass in the front grille, because it looks like there might be a cricket pitch or a soccer field in their pit box now.
That was strange that they would not have brought him in under caution. But anyway, not for me to question.
Yeah, no, clearly he was upset with how the car was running.
Yeah. Robert Alon is still on a tear. He has now worked his way through all of the GTLM traffic. He's just gone purple in segment 1. He, of course, has got the fastest lap of the race on lap 19 at a 49.479. So we'll see if he can better that, as he has gotten some free air there and is on his way. Dirk Werner holds a 0.6 of a second lead over Tony Vilander. Then there's a group behind him that includes the 67 Ford, Richard Westbrook, the 66 Ford of Joey Hand, and the, actually I'm telling you in the wrong order here, Earl Bamber is 4th in the 912. He's chased by Westbrook in the 67 car 5th, and then the second of the Fords, the number 66 car, is 6th with Joey Hand behind the wheel. Alex Popov now has Jose Gutierrez right on his backside as they go through Big Bend, then make the left-hand turn. The only left-hand turn on this racetrack is turn 2, and then they go through the S's and down the back straightaway, and Jose Gutierrez is just wearing out Alex Popov, as he has for quite a few laps, Jeremy.
Yeah, he's doing a good job as Jose Gutierrez. A lot less experienced in his cars, of course, than Alex Popov, but he's making a move, looking to make a move at West Bend. That's not going to work. But Jose Gutierrez, he did do the first 2 races of the season with, and a long distance race also at Watkins Glen with PR1 Matheson Motorsports. So he's already had a couple of podium finishes this season. But this is a new car for him. This is switching across to the Starworks team for this race and a couple of other races before the end of the season. So he's really giving an excellent account of himself. A young man from Monterrey in Mexico, and he has come up through the Mazda Road to Indy ranks in the open wheel cars, particularly in the Pro Mazda Championship. But he's certainly doing a good job here, 20-year-old, and his teammate is Sean Rahal. He's 21. This is by far the youngest driver pairing in the entire field.
And this is no relation to the Formula One Gutierrez.
Correct.
That's right. That was a bit of discussion at Marion's over lunch today, whether he was or not.
No, but he is related to Pato Award and
yes,
various other
right.
kids. Yeah, his grandfather is Rudy Junko, who ran an Indy Lights team some years ago for his son.
And has run some PC races in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So now that we've got you all caught up on racing genealogy, Popov, Gutierrez, Goikhberg in the number 85 car is 3rd. James French, then John Bennett, and Robert Alon is trying to catch Bennett. He's only 0.3 of a second behind, so he has caught Bennett. Now it's just a matter of trying to get by him. In the GTD category, it continues to be the 22 car with Cooper McNeil. That's the Alex Job Racing WeatherTech Porsche that's in front as they come onto the front straightaway, and then there is a train of cars behind him who are the cars in the class. It's John Potter in the number 44 Audi, then Madison Snow in the number 48 Lamborghini, and then Matt Bell in the Audi number 9. So that's a nose-to-tail battle amongst the top 5 cars in the class.
Boy, and working their way through the slower cars here. This is intense battling going on here. Robert Alon still making his way through, just past John Bennett, so up into the 5th position now in Canada 52.
Let's check in our Continental Tire pit lane with Shea Adam. Renger van de Zandt has got to be a little bit nervous, Shea, watching Jose Gutierrez work over his teammate, Alex Popov.
Renger, what are you thinking about this new kid coming into your team and all of a sudden he's pressuring Alex? Is there any orders maybe to get him to back off?
Yeah, I tried to give him orders, but he doesn't listen. So, no, he's doing really, really well. Actually, in Watkins Glen, when I won the race, he overtook me at one of the stints. So I was already shocked when I saw that going to happen. I mean, the first time he came out and suddenly on the pace, bang, I think he had the fastest lap until like 1 lap before the end. So he's right up there. And there's no team orders in Starbucks. Actually, we just got a call from the other car that they're going for a push. So let's see what they can do.
Trouble on the racetrack. We've got a caution, so let's see what happens.
The number 85 car, Shea, has gone off at the chicane in a big way. He's done even more damage. He's following the number 23 car. He tries to dive down the inside, doesn't make it work, slides off onto the grass, slides right across traffic, and gets collected by, I think, the 911 Porsche. Here's on board with the, nope, he collects Christina Nielsen. It was the Christina Nielsen Ferrari. So Misha Goikberg has not covered himself with glory today. I don't know what he was doing. He tried to dive down underneath the 23 car in a spot on the racetrack where he didn't need to be doing that. Lost control of the car on the grass, spun 360 right in front of traffic as it was starting to head up the hill and was collected by Christina Nielsen. So that's a couple of cars that Misha Goikberg has run afoul of today, and boy, they need to calm him down. Shay, he's come to the pits.
And his car is not going anywhere quick, Jim. It's got a significant amount of damage. It already had a lot. They were leaving him out there, though. They said they weren't going to bother changing the nose. They can't actually even get the air jack in. I think he's broken the air jack pump. The exhaust is hanging down on the ground. The rear diffuser is not really diffusing very much anymore. It's just sort of limp carbon fiber at this point. Suspension is broken. They're telling him to move back behind the wall. Might be tricky for him to make that turn because his right rear isn't attached to anything that it should be to help him steer. The 63 is just further up on pit lane, sitting almost abandoned, but driver's still behind the wheel. Christina's still in the car. I can see pressure on the brake lights. I'm going to run up there and see what's going on with that one.
All right, Shay, while you do that, we can update you that while all this is going on, the 911, the Porsche 911, with Patrick Pilet behind the wheel, has stopped again at the top of the hill. That's why I thought maybe that's who he had collected, because that car came to a stop at the top of the hill, but in fact it was the 63 car. The 911 is now going again. And it stopped in the exact same spot on driver's right. Nielsen has come back out onto the racetrack in the 63 car. So, Shay, what's the word down at Porsche?
They don't really know right now. It was an issue earlier on from hitting that curbing that first started plaguing the car, but the fact that it just keeps turning back off, they're a little bit nervous about that. They're going to put some fuel in it first. No driver change yet, still Patrick, but they have flashlights out to look under the rear of the car. They're trying to see if they can suss out any sort of mechanical issue. They have pulled the engine cover off, and they are looking in that area, trying to figure out if it's something within the suspension, if it's a hose coming loose. Ooh, they were just tightening one of the hoses. That might be it. Of course, these cars are so technologically driven nowadays that if everything isn't perfect, and that car sounds a lot better now than it did when it pulled in.
Yeah, and if you look right behind you now, Shay, Christina Nielsen's coming down pit lane, and you'll be able to wave to her when she comes by, because the right side door is completely gone on the car. That's where Goikberg impacted the 63 Ferrari, and so they sent her back out so that she wouldn't lose a lap while they could get the door ready. Now they're trying to put the right-hand door on, the passenger side door, another door on the car. That may be a tough, it depends on how much damage there is to the mount as to whether they're going to be able to actually get it. I don't know if they'll be able to get it closed, but a little 100-mile-an-hour tape. Shay, you're there?
Yeah, they are banging on the door because the hinges were actually stopping it from closing. That seemed to work, though. Using a bit of a mallet or screwdriver, actually, in one of the mechanic's hands, they did get the door closed, but let's see if it actually stays closed. Meanwhile, the other pit stop that we were expecting, the only car that we haven't seen yet, from the GTD class, the 44, Andy Lally's up on the pit wall, so John Potter's day is almost done.
So, yeah, we're waiting for John Potter. Also, Cooper McNeil has not made a pit stop yet. So it's going to be time to see just how the pit strategy plays out for those cars, Jeremy.
Yeah, and the Pro-Am drivers, they have to do a minimum of 1 hour of drive time in this race. So right now, we've got 1 minute 50 minutes to go, 1 hour 50 to go. So what that means, we've had 50 minutes so far, doesn't it?
Let's see.
Is that right? I think we've had 50 minutes of this race, yes. So therefore, in the Pro-Am drivers, they need to do another 10 minutes before they've fulfilled their 1 hour of drive time. So that is why the number 22 car hasn't come onto pit lane, also the 44. And of course, they will need a bit more fuel when they come in for their stops and driver changes. But everybody, all of the contenders in GTD, they'll need to do their driver changes. So it's a question of how much fuel they have to put on board. And right now, the 22, the number 44, and the number 48, they're at the front here. And the 48 car, again, we talked about it, strategy. Lots of decisions to be made, and which pans out to the best at the end of the day is going to be the isn't going to be the answer until much later on in the race.
So lights are out on the pace car. We're going to be going back to green here momentarily. And this has definitely evened up the PC field, because now you've got the top 4 cars, the 8, 7, 38, and 52, all nose to tail as they take the green flag again after our 4th full course caution. Alex Popoff will lead them down into turn 1, but Robert Alon has gone from 4th to 2nd on the restart. So an absolutely fantastic restart for Robert Alon. And in the GTD categories, we've got drivers hanging a wheel off. Cooper McNeil is still leading. 44 is 2nd. And the 48 car, that would be Madison Snow in the Lamborghini, is still 3rd, as now we see who's gone off. It's number 7, Jose Gutierrez, and he's actually picked up some signage, and he's got that flapping off of his rear wing, so he's going to have to come into the pits and get that. It looks like it's stuck on the gurney flap. That's amazing. He's got some signage, and it's just flapping around. Oh, it's in the, it's stuck under the 2-part wing, and it's jammed itself between the 2-part wing as he comes down the diving turn, trying to go fast enough to get it to just blow off, but it's not going to, as he comes to the pits along with the number 96 car. And he went up. Oh, he went. Oh my heavens, that was close. He was went wide on the entrance to the back straightaway, and it looked like he was headed right towards the Armco, and instead center punched the signage, and that was very close to a very big incident, Shay.
4-tire change for the 44. It means Andy Lally gets to go out on stickers, one of his favorite things, but the driver change is a bit slow as Andy was having some difficulty getting into the seat. John, who got out of the seat, also had the same issues at the same point. Driver change taking the longest part of this pit stop. Tire change was done ages ago, and the fueling done well before that. 7 goes back out, and Andy Lally, he started to go, and then he stopped, caught the car from stalling, but now he goes back out. Just saw the 63 come back down the pit lane to serve a drive-through penalty. And one thing that you're going to have to keep your eyes out for, Jim, the number on the side of the 63 on the right side is now 68.
Okay. That's right. That's one of the team cars for that car. The door is replaced. So the 96 has also made a stop. Brett Curtis turned over to Jens Klingman. So the 96 BMW has stopped. Christina Nielsen is out after serving her penalty, but she's going to need to stop shortly. Jeremy?
She's just stopped. She just handed over to Alessandro Balzan. Let me clarify. I said it was a minimum of 60 minutes. It's minimum 60 minutes for PC. It's a minimum of 50 minutes for GTD, just to make it complicated for everybody. So that is why the number 44 car came in then. The 22 car, however, has not come in. Cooper McNeil, I have to say, is doing a really fine job having elevated himself into the lead here. He's got a whole train of cars behind him, but he's doing a really good job to hold them all off. But I would expect that car to be into the pit lane fairly soon, and for Lee Key to take over. But as we just saw, when the BMW's come out of the pit lane, having made its pit stop. That was number 97 of Marcus Peltola taking over from Michael Marzal. So I think both BMWs have now been in, and has the number 44 Magnus Racing Audi.
The 911 has now served a penalty, so improper emergency service on the 911. Too bad for Christina Nielsen. She was an innocent victim there, and then ended up having a penalty on top of everything else. That kind of adds insult to injury. Cooper McNeil, as Jeremy said, continues to lead in GTD, but there's a train of cars chasing him. The Lamborghini number 48 of Madison Snow, and then the 2 Audis, number 9 with Matt Bell behind the wheel. That's the blue trimmed Audi. And then the number 6 with Andrew Davis behind the wheel. And all of those cars are separated by just about 0.5 of a second.
Yeah, i.e. next to nothing.
If that. They are nose to tail as they head through the S's and head down the back straightaway. The Audi of Matt Bell is trying to desperately to get by Madison Snow. He's kind of looked left and looked right, whether he's trying to harass the youngster or not. But Madison Snow is a pretty cool cucumber for only being 20 years old.
Yeah, he is, isn't he?
Of course, he's been racing professionally since he was 15, so. It's not a bad gig if you can get it.
Jose Gutierrez, by the way, having made that pit stop in car number 7, he's only just over a lap down, so he's lost a little bit more than a lap. He's lucky not to have lost more ground than that, but of course the PC car's not yet able to make their driver change. Another 4 minutes will elapse before the 1 hour is complete, although for Gutierrez and Sean Rahal, Gutierrez done a really, really good job, and Sean Rahal will probably be a little bit quicker, but not that much, so they'll probably keep Jose out there for now if he can get into a rhythm and not make any more mistakes.
Madison Snow just showing some great maturity. Cooper McNeil had gone a little bit wide on the entrance to the back straightaway, and Madison Snow had an opportunity to stick his nose underneath him, and he didn't, and it was wise to, because it would have been chopped off had he done so. So that's, again, for the 20-year-old doing one of our IHG Rewards Club keys to the race, patience in traffic. This isn't necessarily traffic, but it's patience and not sticking your nose in where it doesn't belong.
You're right, but at the same time, Madison should be a good bit quicker than Cooper McNeil. So if he can get past here, he'll be able to pull out a pretty good gap. He's going to try and run the outside of the left-hander. That's going to be difficult through the S's. But if he can get past here, he should be able to make some hay and pull away, and that's what he certainly would be looking to do. But Cooper McNeil really is doing an excellent. This is one of the best drives I've seen Cooper do, period, quite frankly. He's got himself in the lead of this race, and he's got the bit between his teeth. And
he's not really driving defensively.
No,
he's taking a normal line around the racetrack. Just Madison Snow has not been able to get by him, and he's desperate to. He's been trying. It's not for a lack of effort on Madison Snow's part. He's not just sitting back there riding. He's making every effort as they go down through the diving turn, and they'll stream by us one more time to complete lap 53 for them. And Madison has to be careful, because if he tries too hard to get by McNeil, he's going to open the door, and certainly Matt Bell would love nothing better than to step through that. Through Big Bend, using all the racetrack, over to the left side, bouncing off the curves, kicking up a little of the white sandy dust that's over there, through the S's, and then the hard right-hander that sends them on to the back straightaway. Cooper McNeil holding sway. Like you say, there's a line behind him, but none of them are able to get by him at this point. So is this where you just tell Madison chill out for a while because Cooper's got to pit?
No, you tell him to get out there, get out front and pull away is what you tell him. But do it sensibly. Don't do a dive-bomb move. So it's like Leader Gage would say. You know what's the
press without risk.
Press without risk. That's exactly right. But Cooper really is. This is hats off to Cooper McNeil. He's doing an absolutely excellent job. He's focusing forward. He's not looking in his mirrors, right. I think. He's just getting on with the job, doing the best job he can. And he's turned some good laps. He's got a big string of cars behind him.
Madison Snow shoves his way past.
There you go.
There you go. Madison Snow did get a little bit of a nose in as they were exiting the... he had good position coming off of Big Ben, and so he was able to actually just kind of muscle his way past McNeil as they were going to the left-hander of turn 2. That gave Madison Snow the right position. He was able to get through, and now he's made a mistake in the chicane, and here comes Cooper McNeil, and they touch. McNeil tried to go around on the inside, and he made contact with Madison Snow. Snow made a mistake going through the chicane in the Lamborghini. McNeil tried to take advantage of that, and that slight right-hand turn at the top of the hill after the chicane, he tried to dive down the inside of Madison Snow there, and the two of them made contact, and there were parts flying. So now McNeil has gone from first to third as Matt Bell in the Audi number 9 has gotten by. And now here come the two Audis number 6 and 44 as Andy Lally shoves his way past the number 6, does the same move that Madison Snow did as the number 6 car with Andrew Davis behind the wheel. Those two rode each other right around the corner, literally door handle to door handle, leaning on each other as they went through the corner, and Andrew Davis comes out better of that. He was able to hold off Andy Lally in the number 44. What great action.
Tremendous action, absolutely superb. This is what it's all about. And look at Madison Snowland once through. Now he's able to stretch his legs and pull away, and he's got number 9 car right behind him, and then Cooper McNeil, he's going to be falling back a few places more now, because onto the inside line there is Andrew Davis. He will make that pass down the inside. Andy Lally will try to follow suit, just squeezes by at Big Ben.
And Andy Lally gave that curb on the inside of Big Ben, that big clout, that first apex of the double apex Big Ben corner. Andy gave that quite a clout and was able to hold on to it. But I think Cooper needs to cut his losses and come in and get some fresh rubber on that car.
I agree. He's fulfilled his driver commitment time at this stage. Get in and make the stop.
Shea reports from our Continental Tire pit lane that the team isn't prepared to bring him in yet, so he's going to have to stay out there. He's like the pitcher waiting for the relief pitcher. So it was quite a move by Madison Snow. He had the position as they were exiting Big Ben. He kind of muscled his way by, literally putting a fender on McNeil, the old chrome horn, as it were, back in short track racing. And that allowed him to get the position, and then Cooper McNeil tried to get it back. They made contact, and the parts went flying at the top of the hill. Let's go to Shea.
We have 2 PC pit callers at this point. The number 8 has come in. Renger Van de Zande's bright yellow helmet ran around the side of the car, so he would be getting into that. And Colin Brown getting into the 54 Core Autosport car. We have these 2 ready to go. Robert Alon will be staying out for a bit longer, though, because Tom Kimber-Smith still does not have his helmet on. He's not going to be getting in the car anytime soon, at least according to what they're planning. Renger goes back out. They did not fix the missing cheese wedge on the back of their car, expecting that maybe it'll help, but there is an issue with the 54. The left front tire, the wheel nut, would not go on, and now they are trying to get it to go manually with the air gun. Now they feel that they have it secured, drop Colin back off the jacks, and send him back out. But that was a slower stop, as the 20 has, the 88 has also come in. Remo Russetti will be getting behind the wheel of that. His second time driving this car with this team. The first was at Watkins Glen.
Jeremy, we've just passed the 1 hour mark in this race. 1 hour and 37 minutes of our 2 hours and 40-minute race. So the PC cars making their pit stops. Those are the second pit stops for those cars. No, first pit stop for the 8. No, second pit stop for the 8 car. No, first pit stop on lap 59 for that car.
The only cars that came with before were number 52 and number 20
right.
in PC, so everybody else is just making their first stops.
They should be able to go the rest of the way, or a splash at the end. Splash at the end.
Yeah, they can do about just about an hour on a tank of fuel with no yellows.
Yeah, and we've had a couple of yellows, so that's why we've gone just about an hour and 3 minutes on the tank of fuel. So Robert Alon continues to lead now as he's gotten back out front. He took us to the green flag this afternoon and was kind of pushed back in the first pit stop for that car. He's gotten back into the action. We're still waiting for James French to make the first pit stop for the 38 car. He was hit by the 85 early on and has done a fantastic job to get that car back up to second in the class. Matt McMurray in the BR1 Motorsports entry is in third position. So once they make their pit stops, it's going to be very interesting to see how Render Van de Zange, Colin Braun, and Jose Gutierrez, who will be handing that car off shortly as well, will fare once this pit stop strategy all plays out. And now in the GTD category, Madison Snow, as you said, Jeremy, has been able to stretch his legs. And behind him, he has a trio of Audis that are hot on his heels.
Breathless, isn't it? Absolutely breathless. Tremendous stuff. That's exactly what we expected here at Lime Rock Park. I think it's absolutely living up to expectations. Probably a few more incidents than we might have liked, but really interesting race unfolding here.
It was not an uneventful trip to the front for Madison Snow. As we said, he shoved his way past the 22 car, and then the 22 car tried to repay the favor after Madison Snow made a mistake the first time he went through the chicane in the lead, but that did not work out for Cooper McNeil, and he's had to drop all the way back now to sixth in the class as he's been passed by 2 other Porsches, the Park Place Motorsports entry of Patrick Lindsay and his teammate Mario Farnbacher in the number 23 Alex Job entry. Renger didn't take long, Jeremy. Renger van der Zande sets the fastest lap of the race on lap 62, 49.250. Here he comes.
And there's what I presume is for a drive-through penalty there for Colin Brown in car number 54. He'd just been in a couple of laps ago, and that is going to be costly for that Core Autosport team.
Ooh, bump and shuffle at the chicane as the 25, 62, and 4 car all come together. The 62 car ended up coming out of the chicane in the lead. So Dirk Werner started the lap in the lead. He's now in second place, as that was a wild scene between the 25 BMW, the 62 Ferrari, and the 4 Corvette. As they all came together in the chicane, it was a wild scene, Jeremy.
Well, it is, and we've got the whole train of cars there in GTL, and absolutely nose to tail. 62, 25, 4, 9, 12. Look at that Porsche right in the mix now. It's been off the pace, hasn't it, for the last few weeks?
Yes.
You see to turn that car on today, and then the two Fords. The
BMW was slowed by the number 27 Lamborghini. That opened the door for the 62 car to move down the inside. And from the 4 cars onboard, it looked a lot dicier than it was. There was definitely contact between the 62 and the 25. 25 had nowhere to go as the racetrack was filled up by the 62 car. Tony Vielander and Dirk Werner just having a little paint swapping there as they went through the chicane. Werner in the BMW. Tommy Milner had the ringside seat for it in the number 4 Corvette.
And look at that 912 car is absolutely flying. The Porsche there with Earl Bamber aboard, absolutely flying up to 3rd place now. He got past Tommy Milner on that lap. And he's right with the 2 leaders. It's Tony Vielander that leads though. And
I think Milner mashed the brake pretty hard there at the chicane, because he saw the BMW and the Ferrari coming together and actually swapping paint. I don't think he wanted to get caught up in that, and that meant he broke his momentum, and that allowed Earl Bamber, who was a little bit further back, to keep his momentum. We've talked already about this being a momentum racetrack, momentum and rhythm, and he was able to take advantage of that. So Earl Bamber has now moved up into 3rd. That's the highest we've seen that car in a while, Jeremy. That car, of course, has had 3 third-place finishes this year, but at Watkins Glen in Mosport, it could do no better than 10th and 6th. Yeah,
very much so, and that car is having a really, really good run, and it's a good battle there in GT, but the Ferrari is running very, very strongly right now with Tony Vielander at the wheel at car number 62, and I think that car, we talked about it before, the Michelin has 3 different tyres available to the GTLM teams. A tyre that you use for hot conditions, one for medium conditions, one for cool conditions. Most people are planning on running the hots here this weekend, but the Ferrari, I believe, is on the mediums, and they're making them work. They're a little bit softer. Whoa!
Oh, another problem at the chicane. Colin Brown is going to run afoul of the Dream Racing number 27 Lamborghini. Both of those cars were off at the chicane. The Lamborghini is back underway and back up to speed, but Colin Brown is going very slowly. So he has some sort of issue, as both cars were off into the driver's left, off in the dirt at the chicane. So we'll try and find out what happened there, as I think Colin Braun will be bringing, yes, he's come pulled off to the right. He'll be coming down pit lane to the attention of Shea Adam. Before he gets there, Shea, you had something for us on track temperatures?
Yeah, it's cooled off a bunch, Jim. It's down, track temp is 120. Yesterday it was 145, but the big difference is this cloud cover. We've got nice puffy clouds in the sky right now. Dropped it down to about 110 every time the clouds come over. And right now we have a giant bank of clouds over the top. For the 54 core guys, they have taken off the left rear tire. They are pulling up the body paneling to get a better look at the suspension, and they have their little box of tools out over the wall. If it's a quick fix, they just bring a tool or 2 depending on what they think they need. They've got a whole array out here, and they are getting to work immediately. I'm just getting up to the point where I can see they've got a bent A-arm on the suspension. It's supposed to be straight across, and instead it looks like a triangle pointing to the front of the car, so they're going to need to fix that.
And that would tell us, Shea, thank you, our Continental Tire pit lane reporter, Shea Adam, that tells us why he came into the pits so slowly, as that left rear suspension damage would cause him to not be able to get back up to speed. Meantime, out on the racetrack, there's something going on, Jeremy, everywhere you look.
Yeah, there is.
My head's on a swivel at this point.
Well, it's ridiculous, to be honest. What was it on the last lap? Number 38 car was slow coming past you. I don't know whether they were anticipating perhaps a full course caution or what, because all of a sudden he was very slow past him. He was passed into Big Bend by car number 20. So Matt Murray for Bar 1 Motorsports, the youngster, has just moved himself up into the second position overall in car number 20. That's the 18-year-old from Scottsdale, Arizona. And he's having a really, really good run again here as Matt Murray. He's matured massively over the last year or so and really driving well now.
Let's go back to our Continental Tire pit lane where Shea Adam is caught up with Bill Auberlin. There's a little bit of damage left on that 25 car from its altercation with the 62 car, Shea.
Bill, your 25 Mighty Steed has a headlight that's askew. Has Dirk said if it's influencing the handling of the car at all?
Yeah, he hasn't said anything about the handling, but I think he went behind a GTD car into the bus, into someplace. I didn't see him. And then I think he said he got tapped by the 62. So, and I'm not sure where the damage occurred, but these guys are prepared for it. I mean, you take a look here. We got the bearer bond ready to stick it down if it's a problem. Dirk hasn't said a word. He's just putting his head down and running hard laps.
How long are they going to leave him out there before they give you a chance to go play?
You just never know. Who knows? Well, I mean, I'm sure the masterminds here up in the stand have a strategy, and we'll just, they're working out the numbers every lap.
Keeping the cards close to the chest. Good luck out there.
Thank you.
Part of our IHG Rewards Club Keys to the Race pit strategy, and Bill Auberlin refusing to tip his hand to Shea Adam. Less than 90 minutes to go now in our 2-hour and 40-minute race. Hour and 28.5 minutes remaining, and Brandon van der Zande has gotten by Jose Gutierrez. That was the thing I was going to talk to you about, Jeremy, is it looked like van der Zande had to push his way past his teammate there. I think Peter Barron maybe having a little chat with Jose Gutierrez after the race, or at least the guys from the 8 car might.
Yeah, there's a lot between those two now because of that problem for Gutierrez earlier on. So Renger van der Zande is on the same lap as the leaders at this stage, quite a long bit way behind, having made his pit stop, but it was a great stop by Starworks to keep him on the lead lap. He came in to the pits in the lead of the class with Alex Popow on lap 58. They made that stop and they got Renger van der Zande out there, and he's still in the lead lap and charging really hard, so number 8 car is a lap down.
In GTD, it continues to be a Lamborghini and Audi show.
Yes.
Madison Snow continues to hold sway, chased by Andrew Davis and Matt Bell in the 2 Stevenson Audis, number 6 and 9 respectively. But here comes Mario Farnbacher in the number 23 Porsche.
That's right, and Andy Lally is closing in on Madison Snow as well, but that's not for position, because Andy Lally, you remember, did make that pit stop previously, and has therefore fallen off the lead lap in GTD. So he's trying to get back onto the same lap as a leader in the class.
Let's head down to our Continental Tire pit lane. Shea Adam, James French has finally bought the number 38 car into the pits.
And he a bit reluctantly gets out of the cockpit. I think he was having too much fun out there. Last year the race didn't go as he had hoped after his teammate was able to take the car from what he had given him a first place position from pole. Unfortunately it was a DNF that year. Now Kyle Marcelli is getting behind the wheel, and he is a person who very much enjoys Lime Rock Park. They're giving Kyle 4 new Continental tires, filling them up full of fuel as he plugs his driver plug in. They drop the car off the jacks, and a bit of damage because the right rear cheese wedge, similar to the damage on the Starworks car, is clanging on the ground. That means that it's still on for the 38, but that was a good pit stop by the Performance Tech boys.
You know, moments ago, Jeremy, when we were talking about the battle in GTD, I was talking about the 2 Audis, and I thought that my eyes were deceiving me, because it had been 48, 9, and then 6, and now it's 48, 6, and 9, and the reason is that the number 9 car with Matt Bell behind the wheel was shoved off the racetrack at the top of the hill before the diving turn by the number 62 Ferrari of Tony Vilander. So Vilander just was side by side and went all the way to the edge of the racetrack, and that meant that Bell had to put all 4 wheels off in the grass, and Andrew Davis just drove right through as Bell was coming back onto the racetrack. So Vilander better be careful, or he's going to be coming under the eye of Bo Barfield, our race steward, and he won't be happy with Bo's decision, I'm sure.
No, that's a very good point. You've got to be careful. You need to be aggressive, but you've got to be sensibly aggressive, and that's the key. And it's a very fine line sometimes. You want to push as hard as you can. You want to make those passes. You don't want to lose any more time than you absolutely have to. But by the same token, you can't go barging your way through and picking up penalties, because that'll be even more costly.
And now a battle for second place is the BMW number 25 with Dirk Werner behind the wheel, is trying to just put the number 911 Porsche a lap down, and the reason he's pressing so hard is because he's being chased by the number 912 Porsche with Earl Bamber behind the wheel. So the number 911 with Patrick Pilet behind the wheel, just kind of making room for those 2 guys to go by, and that was good sportsmanship there. He didn't hold up the BMW at all, and actually made room for both of them to get by. So how long, Jeremy, do you think until we start to see the second pit stops start to play out for these GTLM cars? Another 20 minutes?
Yeah, they were
30 minutes, perhaps?
When was it? When they were in lap 30. Making note of that. With probably about another 20 minutes, I would. Well, they can make it any time from about 15 minutes from now, but it'll probably be about 20 or 25. Any time between 15 and 25 minutes from now, I'd expect to see the GTLM cars onto pit lane.
And that is when we will see driver changes, because all of these drivers that are in the GTLM cars have been in since the start of the race. Correct.
And Renger van der Zande coming past us now with that bright yellow helmet in car number 8. He's up into 3rd place overall now, charging along. He's passed all the GTLM cars. Still Tony Vilander leads that class from the BMW of Bill Oberlin. And then Colin Brown is now many laps down. The 3rd place is at number 912 Porsche. Earl Bamber really doing an excellent job. This is the best we've seen the Porsche run for a long time. We heard before this event they decided to go back to the 2015 specification of tyres, and that certainly seems to be working now, particularly perhaps with the cloud cover here. Yesterday perhaps it wasn't so apparent when the sun was beating down and track temperature was really, really hot, but these are the medium temperature tyres from last year, so it is a slightly softer tyre than the hards that would otherwise be running, and it certainly seems to be switched on that those Porsche 911s.
Right. The 85 car, looking distinctly second-hand, is headed back out onto the racetrack. That's not what you would call a much-loved used car. The 52, the 20 are due pit stops eventually, and that's why it's so important that Renger van der Zande has gotten himself back up into 3rd position. That car made its pit stop at lap 59, so once the 2 cars in front of him who pitted in lap 29 come to the pits, that's going to mean van der Zande then has control of this race, and it'll be very interesting to see how that second pit stop for the Starworks number 18 works out, and see if he can control this thing from the front, as he has many times this season.
Yeah, that is, as you say, the championship leader there, and just doing an exemplary job once again is Renger van der Zande, who's been charging hard. He's passed all those GTLM cars, now got some relatively clear track ahead of him, and he's going to continue to whittle down that margin to the 2 race leaders.
They finished 4th at the Daytona 24 Hours. Then since then, every race has been a podium finish. They've got 6 podium finishes in a row, a 3rd at Sebring, 2 second-place finishes at Long Beach and Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, then back-to-back victories at Belle Isle and Watkins Glen, and then a 2nd place finish at Mosport. So these guys are dialed in 2016 and are in position to strike again when Robert Alon and Matt McMurray make their calls to the pits for the 2nd pit stop, and of course their driver changes. Robert Alon will be changing over in the number 52 car to Tom Kimber-Smith, who in and of his own right. This calls this racetrack home now. The English driver is no slouch at all. He can really pedal. A multi-time Le Mans winner in the P2 category. And in the number 20 car, Matt McMurray will be turning over to the veteran Johnny Mollem, the 47-year-old, who he too is a multi-time class winner at Le Mans. So got a lot of talent going to be taking over these PC cars. So it's going to be very important to see if how the 8 car can play out its strategy.
Yeah, it really is. In the meantime, the race leader is still Robert Alon. He was turning some very good laps, working his way through some traffic here, going into the chicane. And that certainly cost him some time. He's losing out probably a good second a lap here to Renger van der Zande, who relatively has clear track ahead of him. But there he goes, makes the move on the Ferrari as the championship leading car of Christina Nielsen, who is still at the wheel of that car. My mistake, I thought I'd said that he'd changed to Alessandro Balzan, apparently not, which is surprising. But she is, I think, 3 laps down now, 2 laps down as a result of that earlier incident that really wasn't of her making.
Yeah, not at all. The 54 car has come back in yet again, Shay.
Yeah, and they're putting lots of 100-mile-an-hour tape on the car. They're trying to get the body paneling on the left side to stay put. They were also having some issues with the right rear side pod staying on as well. They've got the data cables plugged in, so the car is plugged in directly to a computer. And Jeff Braun, who sits on the box, Colin's dad, can actually see what's going on. They're pulling wheels off the car now, though. And Colin, although still behind the wheel, doesn't look like he's going quick anytime soon. It doesn't look like a Control-Alt-Delete on the car either, Jim. It looks more like a, we're not quite sure what's wrong with it this time.
Might in fact be a Control-Alt-Delete. That's what most people do when they don't know what's going wrong with their computer. 22 now comes in, Shay.
Cooper McNeil decides to make his first appearance on the pit lane of the afternoon, as he doesn't quite have to worry about the 54 block in his pit box like some other people will have to, namely the 33 Viper. Lee Keane, the tall man, is running around the side of the car to get in, and Cooper McNeil, the other tall man, gets out of it. They are doing 4 new Continental tires for Lee. They still do have the stickers on them, very lovely. The WeatherTech guys always practice their pit stops, though. Alex Job Racing is a team that has won many times at many different tracks, and both Lee and Cooper have won here before, so it really should be no surprise to see the 22 so far up the grid at this track. Fueling is still going on. They have changed the tires, the water bottle, and the driver, and just waiting for every last drop of that fuel to go into the tank. Again, Porsches with another fuel stop that's taking longer than everything else. Totally different Lee wastes no time getting out there, though. He is eager as the 54 now goes. Is it going back out or behind the wall? Behind the wall. 54 is done.
Well, that strategy that they tried to pull kind of backfired on them.
Yeah, it did, unfortunately. Yes. The new leader, by the way, in GTD is the number 6 Stevenson Racing out of Andrew Davis, who got past Madison Snow the last time around. So in lap 81, it is now for the completed by the GTD leaders. 85 laps just completed by overall race leader Robert Alon in car number 52. But it's now Andrew Davis who leads from Madison Snow in second place. Mario Farnbach has moved up to third. He's not far behind either. And then the second of the Stevenson Audi is kind of a 9 of Matt Bell. In fifth place, a little bit farther back, is Patrick Lindsay. And he's coming under pressure now from the car number 96 of Jens Klingman. That's the Turner Motorsport BMW. That is the car that won the previous round at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Let's not forget that's a home-based team here. They're based in Amesbury, Massachusetts, not that far from here. And they won this race last year. Different car, but they won this race last year, so looking for a repeat.
So a new leader, as Jeremy says, Robert Davis in the Audi. It's now Audi Lamborghini in the form of the number 48 Madison Snow. Then Mario Farnbacher in the number 23 car has gotten by Matt Bell in the number 9. So a lot of changes there. As in the GTD category, that's been a little bit of a shakeup there. As out on the racetrack, number 73 Patrick Lindsay is also in a pretty good battle just 0.2 of a second separating Lindsay and the number 96 BMW of Jens Klingmann. So we could see a change of position there. So it's all still to play for in GTD, that's for sure. As our leader in the GTLM category just goes by that battle between the 96 and the 73. In fact, the 96 has gotten by the 73 as they come down the diving turn and will cross underneath start-finish. We'll see timing and scoring update to change. In fact, now the BMW number 96 of Jens Klingmann, the Turner Motorsports entry, is now in 5th position, pushing the Park Place Motorsports entry of Patrick Lindsay, the Porsche, back to 6th position. Lindsay should be pitting at some point and turning over to Jörg Bergmeister, who is a factory driver for Porsche. And Bergmeister, a little birdie in my ear tells me, is standing by, ready to go down in our Continental Tire pit lane. So Tony Vilander continuing to work traffic. He's been all business since he was able to get by the number 25 of Dirk Werner in the chicane when they came upon one of the GTD cars. Werner really didn't have much anywhere to go, and by the time he decided which way he wanted to go, Tony Vilander had filled the spot, so the two of them made contact. Werner bounced off and went on driver's left through the grass and then up the hill, but he was able to hold on to 2nd place, mainly because Tommy Milner's discretion is the better part of valor. Grabbed a handful of brake, and a footful of brake, as the case may be, and to keep from hitting those two as they made contact going through the chicane. So that is how we have gotten to this position, and that opened the door for Earl Bamber in the 912 Porsche. So that's a little recap of how we've gotten into this position, with Tony Vilander leading Dirk Werner and Earl Bamber in the BMW and the Porsche, and then Corvette 4th as Patrick Lindsay goes wide at the exit of the diving turn. Looks like he may have an issue. He's slewing left and right.
He was ushered off the road there by number 912 car. Made a very forcible pass coming down the hill, and poor Patrick Lindsay, fellow Porsche driver, he won't be very happy with that, and all the Porsche team, I fancy, because Patrick Lindsay is doing a fine job in the 6th position. Meanwhile, talking to Porsches in GTD, Mario Farnbacher has also now got past Madison Snow up into 2nd place in that class.
Perhaps Madison Snow has used up his Continental tires. He has been out there. He made his pit stop very early in that strategy move, made his pit stop on lap 23. He's on lap 85 now, so he's been on those tires for 62 laps. And so that could be. Now, that's interesting that you talked about the 912, Jeremy. That's twice in this race. He's had contact with someone in the diving turn. That's not any place you want to make contact. You're not going to get away with that very often, and he's dodged the bullet twice.
He has, and yeah, he has. You're right. Sorry, I was distracted. I was just watching the number 38 car, Carl Marcelli, moving his way through the GTLM cars. He made a pit stop a while ago and resumed, and is now working his way back through. He's a lap down to the leaders, or the leader at least. But Robert Alon certainly does owe us a pit stop. I would expect that pit stop to come in about 10 minutes' time.
Tim Pappas just was on the receiving end of a good clout from the number 96 car. That's Jens Klingmann, who was trying to stay ahead of the GTLM BMW number 25. Now we've got Big Off going in off on driver's left, and that is in fact the 912 and the BMW number 25. Yeah. Both of those cars are, the 912 is stuffed into the tire barrier, and the front end of the 25 car has been totally destroyed, as we now have our 4th or 5th full course caution. 4th, yeah.
4th, I think, yeah.
4th. So the 73 car has made it to the pits. The pits are closed, but the 73 car was able to make it in. So we've talked about Earl Bamber having close calls in the diving turn on 2 occasions. Maybe the 3rd strike was more, as now a door is open on the 25 car as Dirk Werner is crawling out under his own power. His car looks like it has taken the worst of this. Very disgustedly closes the door and looks over. He is not happy with Earl Bamber. I can tell that. I hope Earl is okay. He's opening the door. Hopefully more to check on Earl than to tell him off, although I think that's part of the process as well.
Well, yeah, that was a battle for second place there. You can see how Gusty just slams the door there. Dirk Verner, clearly, you know, the battle was heating up there between those two for second place. Earl Bamber had been doing a stellar job there, certainly the strongest run for Porsche this season in GTLM. Whether he got a bit greedy down there, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
I see Earl's head popping out of the passenger side door, and he is out of the car under his own power, taking his gloves off. He couldn't get out on his own side of the car because the car was pinned into the tire wall, so he had to get out on the passenger side of the car. He has gotten out and is walking out as the support and tow vehicles appear on the scene. Dirk Verner with a drinks bottle. Now it's coming down the hill. Earl Bamber dives underneath and hits the curb and takes them both out. This is very similar to what we saw with the 100 car, only this time, third time being the case, Earl didn't get away with it. No, he's stuffing it down the inside, gets on the curb. That's a mistake from Earl Bamber, I've got to say. It's awfully difficult to go through there side by side. If he hadn't got on the curb, I would have given him the benefit of the doubt, but the fact he did put that car on the curb, that's what threw the car, lurched the car to the left. Gets on the curb, that's what throws him into the BMW. And it's a very forceful pass. It's a low percentage pass, and if he made it cleanly, if he hadn't hit the curb, he might have got away with it, and it would have been up to the BMW driver there to kind of avoid it, because he was certainly lunging down the inside. That was fair enough. You know, it's hard racing here, but the fact that at that he
point,
hit that curb,
then it was all over. And he wasn't forced onto that curb. He drove it onto that curb.
Yeah. He hit that curb and bounced off, because he hit that curb because it's really the only place he had to go. Because like you said, it's very difficult to get two cars through there side by side. And he, in my opinion, he kind of left that move a little late, got in there, and then hit the curb, and then he was right into the side of the BMW.
Absolutely.
Two of them rode each other right into the wall.
Indeed, and just really a shame for this motor race, because that was a great battle that was going on in GTLM, and Tony Wielander has done a magnificent job out in front. He was edging away a little bit there in the lead in the class. This is going to give everybody else now. They'll be, if you're watching out on the racetrack, you're wondering why cars are passing the safety car. If you're not regulars here, cars that were Tony Wielander had not been lapped by our race leader. The other contenders in GTLM had been by our overall race leader, but in order that the timing of the caution doesn't disadvantage the other contenders in each of the classes, anybody that is trapped in between the safety car and the class leader in each of the classes is able to go past the safety car, run around to the back of the pack, and take up their rightful positions in order behind the safety car. So you don't get a lap back from anybody. You just it doesn't cost you a lap.
Yeah, you don't get penalized.
You don't get penalized for the timing of the caution period, which is completely out of your control.
For your track position. We've got, Jeremy, an hour, just under an hour and 7 minutes remaining. Pretty much anybody that pits now is going to be able to go all the way to the finish, are they not? So during this pit stop sequence, we've got some very important things that are going to play out. We have everybody getting their last chance for driver change and fuel. So the pit strategies will be playing out as we talked about in our IHG Rewards Club keys to the race. Once that plays out, this caution is going to the battle at the front is going to be absolutely wide open, because you're going to have Van der Zande, you're going to have Tom Kimber-Smith. It's going to be...
You've got the three cars.
Yeah, and Kyle Matrelli. You're going to have three cars battling at the front. And then you're going to have...
No, not Kyle Marcelli. Kyle Marcelli is a lap down.
Ah, okay.
So he's not going to be part of that battle.
Yeah, that's right, because he would have to pit here as well. So, well, anyway, we'll let the pit stops sort out who's left standing. But in GTLM, you're going to have the Ferrari of Tony Wielander, the 62 Risi Competizione Ferrari. You're going to have the 4 Corvette, the 3 Corvette, and the 2 Fords left to battle it out That's going to be a fantastic battle. And now our overall leader comes to the pits, Shea Adam.
We have the 52 coming into the pits. As you said, Tom Kimber-Smith already jumping off the wall, ready to get behind the wheel of that. Tony Vilander finally extracting himself from the 62, handing over to Giancarlo Fisichella, his first time racing at this circuit. Nick Tandy getting behind the wheel of the number 911. Johnny Mollem getting into the number 20. Van der Zande is already down and away. They gave him fuel and 4 tires, but of course with no driver change, his stop is significantly shorter than everyone else's. We still have the 52 in their pit box, so Van der Zande beats the 52 back out. The 62 Reese beats every single other one of the GTLM competitors out. Both Fords had driver changes, both Corvettes had driver changes. Fuel still going into the 3, as that's Antonio Garcia. He now goes out. Johnny Mollem is the last guy off the pit lane, and I don't think that he'll be the last one for long.
I tell you what, Jeremy, what a fantastic performance by the Rizzi Competizione pit guys. It's not very often you can beat the Corvette team off pit road, and they really beat them. I mean, they just soundly beat them. They won't get much of an advantage on the racetrack because of the caution, but in fact, they were able to get their driver in and out ahead of the Corvettes, and that's going to mean that the 62 car can keep its track position. It's going to be a fantastic way to restart this race.
Yeah, it certainly is, and you almost got a lap on the leader there, actually. You almost got past the leader to lead the race overall, but I don't think quite happened.
Here comes the rest of the GTD field. Let's go back to Shea and our Continental Tire pit lane.
That was the sound of the 23 Porsche going past me. That will be a driver change. Alex Riveras getting in. Super Mario having finished his work for the day. 44 is in. They are doing a 4-tire change and fuel for Andy Lally. No driver change there. 73 comes back in just to top off. They got their driver change done before, so that is Jörg Bergmeister behind the wheel. 33 is in. They have a bit of rear damage to the car. The diffuser dragging, but they're not worrying about that. They are only plugging in Jerome Bleekemolen, giving him new tires and fuel and sending him out. Fuel still going in. Now Jerome gets away. A bit of a slow stop on the 23 as they're having issues with oh no, sorry, it's just fuel. Again, just fuel that caught me out. 48 now has Brian Sellers. The 6 now has Robin Liddell. 16 goes back to Spencer Pumpelly. 9 with Lawson Aschenbach. And the 96, now we find Jens Klingman behind the wheel of that one. And again, pit lane is empty. Everyone up and down did fuel and tires except for the 73. They did their tires the last time through. And by the way, guys, bit of tricky strategy. 38 did not pit. Performance Tech did not pit.
Correct, and the reason for that is to get that lap back. So when we come up for the restart, before the restart, any cars that are between the safety car and the first of the class leaders will be able to cycle past the safety car and move around to the back of the pack. So that will happen momentarily. The wave has begun now, so that will get that car back onto the lead lap. And is number 7? No, number 7 car is not. I think he's a further lap back. He'll gain one of those laps back, but it will move number 38 car onto pit lane. And number 38 car, I believe those is a pit stop. Yeah, so he will be in next time around, make a quick splash of fuel, get out there, rejoin the race, and get ready for the restart.
I thought I saw this on the pit stop, and I didn't want to say anything, Jeremy, until I was absolutely sure. Congratulations to the guys from Riley. They've got the number 33 car, Jerome Bleekemolen, out of the pits first. That moves that car from about 8th in class up to 1st in class with Jerome Bleekemolen behind the wheel.
Yeah.
This is going to be a heck of a finish. We've got the Dodge, a Porsche, then the Audi number 6, the Porsche number 23 with Alex Rubieras behind the wheel, then Robin Liddell in the number 6 Stevenson Audi, Ryan Sellers in the number 48 Lamborghini, Spencer Pumpelly in the number 16 Lamborghini. He's back out there. That top 5, it's going to be wide open. And don't count out Andy Lally, who's in the number 44 Audi as well.
Yeah.
So this is going to be an absolutely cracker of a race in GTD. How things have shaken out in the PC class, it's right now shaping up to be pretty much a 2-horse race. It's the 8 and the 52. It'll be nose to tail when they drop the green flag. Renger van der Zande and Tom Kimber-Smith in the number Van der Zande in the number 8 Star Works Motorsports entry, and the number 52 PR1 Matheson entry of Tom Kimber-Smith. Then in GTLM, it is Tony Vilander chased by Oliver Gavin in the Corvette, number 4. Then Ryan Briscoe in the number 67 car. Dirk Mueller in the number 66. And Antonio Garcia in the number 3. That's how they will line up, the number 3 Corvette. So that's the top 5 in GTLM, and those 5 will be, boy, that's all to play for there. You can't pick a winner from that group, and a lot of talented drivers in those cars with 1 hour remaining here at Lime Rock. Let's head down to Shea Adam. The 22 has made a call to the pits.
They did a 4-tire stop and added a bit of fuel. The 38 also came in. That little cheese wedge on the rear right is really dragging now. And the 63 has also come in, fuel and tires for Alessandro Balzan. And I think Christina finally got out of that car.
Yes, she did. So Alessandro Balzan will finish out the race in the number 63 car. All the way down, it's 13th position in the class, about a lap down. So that was a tough break for Christina Nielsen. She was right in amongst them. Here we go.
I think they've got one of the laps back.
59 minutes to go. Green flag coming out. We are back to green with an hour remaining here at Lime Rock. Renger van der Zande will lead Tom Kimber-Smith down into turn 1. Good restart, good clean restart. No shenanigans there. Back in GTD, however, we've got a move as the number 6, Robin Liddell, goes by Brian Sellers.
Holds off yes.
Brian Sellers. Yeah, thank you. He was ahead of him at the green, and Brian Sellers made a pretty good stab at trying to get by, but Robin Liddell said nothing doing. And so he will hold on to 3rd position. That was the battle for 3rd on the drop of the green flag. The number 33 Viper has been pretty quiet all weekend. They've just gone about their business, and now all of a sudden he's in the lead with an hour to go.
Yeah, and that's the way Bill Riley runs things there at Riley Motorsports. And Ben Keating, he doesn't shout too loud unless he's got something to crow about. But look at this battle here in GTLM. It's just fantastic. Third place on the road now is Giancarlo Fisichella in number 62 Ferrari, but he's got Oliver Gavin right behind him there. Then the 2 Fords who are ahead of the number 3 Corvette, and then behind them is Johnny Molan. That's not position, of course. That is he's a PC car, so he should be able to work his way through those GTLM cars and make sure he doesn't get involved. And he'll be looking at the 3rd place finish in PC.
There is a second between 1st and 2nd in GTLM, the Fisichella Ferrari and the Gavin Corvette. And then it's 0.8 of a second, 0.3 of a second, 0.2 of a second, all the way back to Antonio Garcia. So as Jeremy says, you can throw the proverbial blanket over this field as they circulate around this 1.5 mile. Let's check in with Shea Adam. Cooper McNeil out of the 22 car. That was a long stint for the young man.
Cooper, that was a very long stint for you. Were you planning to get out of the car at all today during this race?
Yeah, we were in there for a while, about an hour and a half. But no, the WeatherTech guys have been working hard all weekend, making sure that we're staying cool in the car, both Lee and I, with the cool suit and the helmet blowers. Those are working really well. So it really wasn't too bad for me. The biggest thing was just developing a lot of understeer as the run, as we ran longer and longer. But Lee's in there now. He's got a fresh set of Continental tires on it, so I think we should be good to go to the end.
It's a little odd watching Jerome Bleekmolen and Lee Keen fight it out, isn't it? Your 2 former co-drivers.
Yeah, but that's part of the sport. You know, there's lots of guys out there that used to be on the same team that are racing against each other, so it's a normal thing.
Good luck.
Thank you.
So Shea Adam, our Continental Tire pit lane reporter, talking to Cooper McNeil. Be interesting to hear also from Ben Keating, as he did have an eventful first stint. He got knocked off the racetrack once. It was not an easy run for him, nor was it an easy run for Christina Nielsen, who was turned over to Belzan, Alessandro Belzan, in the number 63 car. And Christina has just waved off Shea. I don't blame Christina a bit. She was running very well and then was basically taken out of contention, out of nothing of her own doing. Just Misha Goikberg just ran out of talent at one point going into the chicane, so ended up taking Christina out. Now, interesting, Jeremy, in watching the number 33 car, the Viper, the rear diffuser on that car, because of that contact earlier we were talking about with when Ben Keating was behind the wheel, when he got shoved off the racetrack, that thing's flapping very badly. I hope that that does not cause Jerome Bleekenmolen a problem.
Yeah, very much so. They're certainly going to have to keep an eye on that one. And meanwhile, the two leaders now. Renger van der Zen is going to lead about a second there heading into Big Ben, but Tom Kimber-Smith is matching him now for pace, and that's an interesting battle, just a second between them, and still 54 minutes to go in this race, so there's a long, long way to go. It's on a level playing field now. Everyone's got the same amount of fuel, or enough fuel to get to the end of the race. No more pit stops really are expected for anybody here, so this is just a flat-out motor race for a little bit less than an hour to reach the finish line.
Yeah, if you pit now, there's that flapping diffuser on the number 33 car. If you pit now, it's game over for your hopes of a good finish. Yeah. Let's check in with Ben Keating, who just turned the car over to the hitman, Jerome Bleekenmolen.
Ben, that was pretty eventful out there. What was it like from the driver's seat of the 33 Viper?
It was. It's pretty tough out there. Yeah, I mean, it's so hard for the GTLM and the PC cars to pass that I've never been bumped around as much by the GTLM cars as I ever have here. I think I got, never really hit hard, but bumped around, 15, 20 times. And it's a very aggressive race out there. We had planned to just try to make it on one stop with the early yellow flags, I had the two Ford GTs, taking the single file line through the chicane, and I had no choice but to get off into the dirt. We had to come in and clean it off. It kind of, made our strategy happen for us. But once again, I mean, unbelievable stop by the guys, really quick driver change, and miraculously we're out there in P1. Because we've gotten hit so much, our rear diffuser is barely hanging on. So, the worst thing that could happen to us right now is our diffuser falls off. And so we're kind of on pins and needles here, watching it kind of flap around out there.
Just how much of a difference did that make in the handling of the car after that happened?
I was telling the guys here that I think the handling of the car may have gotten a little better with less diffuser. But the car's handling pretty well right now. We don't have the pace of the other cars, but the car's handling well. We got an unbelievable team, and I can't believe we are where we are right now, to be honest. The car's handling really well, but we have no idea what happens if we lose the diffuser.
Well, as Ben said, these Riley guys, second to none. Congrats and good luck out there.
Thank you, Shay.
Keeping you in the know, Shea Adam in our Continental Tire pit lane. And Jeremy, if that diffuser goes off, that car's going to be a handful. I don't care how good Jerome Bleekenmolen is.
Yeah, more worrying for the guys who are following it. They certainly want to hit it if it does fall off. It's unlikely to fall off, I think, because it's carbon fiber. It'll have some pretty good, strong, stout fixings at the front of it, but certainly it'll shake them loose, and it is a concern for sure. But as it is, lucky there's not many super high-speed corners here. The most critical one with the downhill, and of course that leads onto the main straight, so you don't want to be losing time through there. As we watch on board with column 67, that's Ryan Briscoe as Johnny Molan works his way through. It's not a pass. It is a pass for overall position, but not for class position.
And of course, they've got a spare diffuser, but changing a diffuser is not the job of a moment, and basically you're just going to run this out and hope for the best, because stopping to change that diffuser, that just destroys your race.
That's correct.
Van der Zanden now with a 1.3 second lead. As Jeremy said, that has kind of balanced out. Those two drivers doing pretty much equal lap times. Last time 49.622 to a 49.624. So not too bad.
No, not indeed. Look at this battle of GTD coming through the S's now. I mean, absolutely nose to tail. How many cars are there? Pretty much 9 cars.
8 or 9 cars, yep. Yeah, you've got all the way down to 9th position. You got all the way down to 9th position, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Starting with Jerome Bleekemolen in the number 33. And he's got 4/10 of a second. If that's the smallest 4/10 of a second I've ever seen. They are literally nose to tail. They being the number 33 of Bleekemolen, the Viper, then the number 23 Alex Job racing Porsche with Alex Rubieras behind the wheel of that car. Then comes the number 6 Audi of Robin Liddell, Brian Sellers in the number 48 Lamborghini, then Spencer Capelli in the number 16 Lamborghini, chased by Lawson Aschenbach in the number 9 Audi. Then comes Andy Lally in the number 44 Audi, and Jörg Bergmeister in the Park Place Porsche number 73, all nose to tail out on the racetrack going down the back straightaway. It's a train of GTD cars.
It is, isn't it? Tremendous.
And it doesn't look like Bleekemolen's holding anybody up. This is just, these guys are doing very equal lap times.
I agree. I agree, and I think it'll be frustrating for the guys behind him because they'll feel, oh yeah, well, I'm much quicker, but that's really dangerous that he's running around there with that bit hanging loose. But that's certainly Jerome Bleekemolen is prerogative to stay out there, and as long as it doesn't look as if it's imminently about to fall off. It doesn't at this stage. It's just not creating the right sort of amount. Yeah, just flapping a bit. Yeah.
So behind him, probably the closest bit. Oh, and there's a piece of bodywork coming out. I don't know if that was just debris that somebody ran over, or if that was part of that diffuser coming loose. But a piece of debris just went flying in the air as Renner van de Zande, our overall race leader, is trying to work his way through this GTD battle. He's gotten up to the second place car, number 23, as they head up the hill through the chicane. Van der Zande goes by the 23, and now he'll make short work of the 33 as they go down through the diving turn, the right-hander, onto the front straightaway. If you're going to pass at that right-hander, that's when you do it. You get the pass done before you make the turn in, and that's the safe way to get through diving turn here at Lime Rock Park, and that is going to allow Van der Zande to get a little bit of distance between himself and Tom Kimber-Smith, which is now about 1.5 seconds for the distance there, as Tom Kimber-Smith is having to work his way through the same traffic here. And that's one of our IHG Rewards Club keys to the race. Patience in traffic, pick your place to pass.
Very much so. And that GTD battle, it is so intense, it's fantastic. We've had, what, 6 races this season. We've had 2 wins for Ferrari, and then 1 each for Audi, Porsche, BMW, and Dodge. Lamborghini is yet to win a race this season, but there's a couple of Lambos right in the middle of that battle. They're 4th and 5th, Brian Sellers and Spencer Papelli, and they come as 48 and 16 at the moment, and they are very much part of that battle, and there's still 47 minutes remaining, so a long way to go. We talked about earlier on tire degradation, see how their lap times are compared to earlier in the stint when they're on fresher tires, and how that plays out towards the end of the race could be crucial.
We got our restart, Jeremy, with about an hour to go. There's now just under 47 minutes to go, so most everybody is out there on fresher rubber. They've only been using those tires for about 15 minutes. It'll be very interesting to see what the last half hour of the race is, because then we'll really know who's used up their tires. Is once we get to that 30-minute mark, that final half hour is when it'll be time to pay the piper. If you've used your tires in the first 30 minutes, you're going to be hard to hold anybody off in the second 30.
That is absolutely true.
So Jerome Bleekemolen, a man who has got untold 24 and 12-hour race wins to his credit. A year ago, he went on he was undefeated for a season in long-distance races. He's had, and he's a driver who has turned down more than one factory drive because he really enjoys, I guess, the freelance lifestyle of being a hired gun, and he has fits right in with this Riley operation. Ben Keating, he's a good coach for Ben Keating as well, and a good steadying hand. And fits right in with Bill Riley's operation based in Charlotte, North Carolina, my hometown. Well, Watkins Glen, down where I live.
Just to clarify.
Yes.
There's,
not to put too fine a point on it. Now, in the GTLM category, things are starting to hot up, Jeremy, because Oliver Gavin has caught Tony Vilander. And what I mean by caught is instead of being a second and a half behind, he is now just 0.3 of a second behind as they are nose to tail going into Big Bend.
Yeah, and I was talking to
Giancarlo Fisichella. I think I said Vilander. Vilander had been in the car for so long, I forgot that he finally turned it over to Giancarlo Fisichella. So it's Fisichella behind the wheel of the 62 car.
Indeed, and the engineer for Racing Competizione is Rick Mayer. I spoke to him just before the start of the race, and he was telling me then that tyre degradation is really key here. We talked about it all the way through the show, haven't we? But he said after 10 laps or so, the tyres lose about 0.3 of a second of pace, and then they drop down from there onwards. It's a problem for all of the GTLM cars. They lose pace as the stint goes along. So you've just got to kind of manage that car as best you can. But certainly, it's been another great performance by that number 14, Oliver Gavin and Tommy Milner. They've got that car right there in contention now with Giancarlo Fisichella. But are they going to have the pace to pass? That's going to be the interesting thing.
Ford car won the 36 Hours of Florida, winning Daytona and Sebring. They had a second place at Long Beach, and of course coming here to Lime Rock after a second place at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. One of the stars in the early going of this race in the number 48 Lamborghini was Madison Snow. Shea Adams with him.
Madison, it's about time we finally got you out of that car for a quick chat. Just how much fun were you having with that Lamborghini and all the traffic out there?
I mean, I had a great time out there. I was worried going into the race that it was going to be super hot. The Paul Miller guys actually did a pretty good job insulating the car, keeping it cool in there, so I was able to push the entire time, not worry about, the heat taking a toll by the end of the race. The tires definitely were wearing off near the end of the race, but it was just stay ahead of who I can to stay right behind them. And now Brian Sellers just got in the car, so we went out back and forth, and now we just need to wait till the end.
How is the Lamborghini that Brian got into handling when you got out?
I mean, the Lamborghini's been pretty good. It's a pretty slick track here. We've been struggling with that all weekend. It's just a lack of grip all around, so it's finding a balance that works with that.
And you feel like you've got that for the final stint? You feel like Brian's got a good chance?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like we have a pretty good car for the end of the race.
Big smile on Madison's face. Good luck.
Thanks.
A good performance for him, Jeremy. People were quick, and frankly, I was one of those to point fingers at him after Watkins Glen. He was doing a little bit too much curb hopping, but he showed a lot of maturity here today, working traffic very well, not doing anything that would be considered overly aggressive, but he kept pushing, kept moving forward. So congratulations to the young man for a good performance today.
Very much so. He did make that pit stop early on, though, which we saw. Was that Watkins Glen or was that Canadian Tire Motorsports Park? I can't remember now. Some of the races a bit too late. But he did that again today, and that's certainly costly. But yeah, there's
battle for position on the racetrack.
Number 44 car, Andy Lally, has just worked his way past the number 9 car, and now he's also working past his good friend Spencer Pompelli there in the number 16. So Andy Lally on a charge in that number 44 Audi for Magnus Racing.
In the space of half a lap, he's taken 2 positions. He took the 9 position from Lawson Aschenbach and has now taken the 5th position away from Spencer Pompelli. So he went from 7th to 5th in about half a lap. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it is. It's a great battle.
And out on the further in the front now, the 23 car, Alex Rubieras has his hands full with Robin Liddell in the number 6 Audi as they are nose to tail going through Big Bend. Rubieras just a little bit behind the number 33 car as they've got the 540 in front of the train of leaders that are about to come through as they go through the chicane. Hopefully the 540 will see them and be able to move out of the way, but he's going to have to move out of the way for about 6 cars if he's not careful. One of the PC cars, it looks like the number 20 car might be starting to move his way through this traffic as well, and so that should break up this battle a little bit. Another look now at the move as Lally goes in. Whoa, throws a hip check on his good friend Spencer Pumpelly in the number 16 car as they were going through Big Bend. He kind of slid wide, held his position. Spencer gave him enough room. The two of them went side by side through the S's, and then Andy Lally was able to claim the spot as they were heading into the chicane. So a nice job by both of those drivers, because Pumpelly could have reacted, because Andy Lally did go in there a little bit hot into Big Bend and kind of used him for a break a little bit, as they did make side-to-side contact.
Yeah, mutual respect there.
Yes.
Those two are really good buddies, and they both gave each other just about enough racing, just one car width. That's all they asked for. That's all they gave there. But now we're coming up to the key part of the race here in terms of the overall lead, because the race leaders are going to have to work their way through all these GTLM cars and the GTD cars as well, actually. So the overall leader, car number 8, here he comes past us now. He's just passing the kind of last place, if you like, actually the 10th place Porsche of Lee Keener GTD. He's got a whole string of GTD cars and GTLM cars. This is going to be a real fight over these next few laps, and we'll see whether he's able to gain any sort of an advantage over Tom Kimber-Smith in car number 52.
A little bit further up the road, Mario Farnbacher's getting a little impatient, trying to get by Jerome Bleekenmolen, and he just about opened the door for Robin Liddell in the number 6 Audi. So Farnbacher tried to make a move on the 33 car, and Riberas, rather, in the 23 car. Thank you, Shay. As well, these guys spent so long in the car that Riberas, but anyway, Riberas tried to make the move, and that opened the door wide. When he didn't complete the move, that opened the door wide for Robin Liddell, who tried to fill it and was not able to, as now Jeremy, the 62 and the 4, are nose to tail working their way through this group of cars.
Indeed.
Wild stuff.
Yeah, the GTLM cars are passing the GTD cars, and the overall leaders, the PC cars, are passing everybody. So this is going to be really interesting. Now, this is the key part of the race. Got to keep your wits about you here.
And as they were making their way through the S's, Andy Lally used the, kind of followed the Corvette through on the number 48 of Brian Sellers. So now Andy Lally has moved up to 4th position, bumping Brian Sellers in the number 48 Lamborghini back to 5th. So Andy Lally is on a charge in the number 44 Magnus Audi.
Just in case there isn't enough going on, by the way, the battle for 3rd place is heating up, because Johnny Molan in car number 20, he's probably going through the S's, I would think about now. He's got car number 38, Kyle Marcelli, who is closing in as well. So we've got battles all the way through the field here. This is fabulous. Absolutely love it.
Although Giancarlo Fisichella has done a good job in the traffic, because he has now put a little bit of a gap on Oliver Gavin. They were nose to tail when they started working their way through this traffic, and now there is the 23 cars between them, as there's about maybe a second and a half, almost 2 seconds now, between our leader, Giancarlo Fisichella in the 62, and Oliver Gavin in the 4 car. Gavin gets by the 23 of Rivieras. Now has to go to work on Jerome Bleekenmolen. Dabbing the brakes just for confidence as they go down through the diving turn. Gavin pulls out and goes by Bleekenmolen as they charge down into turn 1. So with that traffic cleared, now the guys have got to start worrying about the 67 and the 66 and the 3 car coming through, as they are all nose to tail as well.
That's right. And a couple of laps ago, number 66 Ford, that's Dirk Mueller, did get past Antonio Garcia in the number 3 Corvette, but that battle continues.
Also in that mix is our leader, the number 8 of Renger van der Zande. So be careful, boys. As Jeremy says, this is the time when it is crucial. Any mistake here means any hope of a podium finish or a good day is thrown out the window. Yeah, that's a good point. Shay Adam asking in my ear, do they have magnets in their bumpers? Because that's sure how they're acting. Is now the number 9 car makes a move. That's Lawson Aschenbach. He makes a move on the number 16 Lamborghini, going through the diving turn to take over 6th position. So it's the Audi number 9 taking over 6. Spencer Pumpelly has been bumped back to 7th position. A little while ago, he was in 4th. Now he's back to 7th. There's contact now between the 3 Corvette and the number 66 Ford GT as they were headed through the S's. Antonio Garcia trying to get by Dirk Mueller in the number 66, and those two went side to side. So there's bumping and bashing, and this is full contact sports car racing, folks, at Lime Rock Park.
Yes, not for the faint of heart right now, these guys, but what a good job. Look at coming down now towards Big Ben. It's car number 62 is Giancarlo Fisichella. He's pulling away now again from the Corvette of Oliver Gavin. But looking at the big picture, Oliver Gavin is ahead of his championship rivals at the moment. He leads the championship now in that number 4 car, he and Tommy Milner. Over the number 67 car, it's won the last 3 races in a row, and they are ahead now of the 67 car. They are second and third in GTLM as they stand.
The 62 car, however, is looking for their first race win of the year. They've had a third. They've kind of hit for the cycle. They've had third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh this season. So they are hoping for a victory here at Lime Rock. Garcia now still trying to make the move on the number 66 car. That's the battle for fourth. They come down the front straightaway. Nothing between them as the 52 car tries to go by into turn 1. He'll get by the 3 car, and that will give the 66 car a little bit of a break. Meantime, back at the ranch, 33 and 23. That's the Viper, number 33, heading into Big Ben with the 23 car right on his bumper. Rubiera is thinking about trying to make a move on Bleekemolen, but Bleekemolen's Viper was just a little too wide at that point, and Rubiera's had to get out of it, see if he'll lose any momentum to Ryan Liddell and the charging Andy Lally.
Tell you what's interesting to me is how well Renger van der Zande has moved his way through that traffic. Before they reached that whole knot of cars, the gap was a couple of seconds between the two overall leaders, kind of 8 and number 52. Now it's over 6 seconds. Renger van der Zande already in turn 1 there, past us now goes number 52.
Oh my heavens, Jeremy, side by side coming down the diving turn. It was the 23 Porsche with the 6 Audi and the 44 Audi. They almost tried to go 3 wide, but discretion was the better part of valor, as now the 16 car repays the favor to the 9 car and retakes that position going into Big Ben and takes a look at Andy Lally as well. So Spencer Papelli said, hey, wait a minute, guys, you're not going to be shoving me too far out of this battle, as he gets his way back in and now moves back up to 5th position.
Yeah, shuffling all the time, aren't they, now in GTD? You know, they've been struggling a little bit in the tyres now, halfway through the stint. Just over half an hour remaining in this race.
And at the tail end of that line, you've got the 97 and the 73 in a pitch battle. Jörg Bergmeister in the number 73 Porsche, the Park Place Racing, the black with red trim Porsche, number 73, and the Turner Motorsports BMW number 97 of Marcus Platala. Jörg just took a look, but as now Patala will take a more defensive line down the front straightaway and try and hold that 73 car at bay. So lots of battles here as we have 1st through 9th, all literally nose to tail out on the racetrack with a half hour remaining in this 2 hour and 40 minute race in the GTD category. Up through the S's they go one more time. Up through the chicane, rather. They've gone through the S's, down the back straightaway, up through the chicane, up the hill. They'll make the hard right-hand turn and then the diving turn. This is a lot of fun to drive, and it's a great spot. They've got a couple new spectator areas here that if you haven't tried them out, you can at either side of the diving turn now, there are some spectator areas. There's one spectator area that's just past the bridge that is at the top of the hill that makes the beginning of the diving turn. It's an absolutely fantastic place to watch from, and if you're an amateur photographer, that's an absolutely fantastic place to get some dynamic photographs. Or if you're a professional photographer,
right,
you have to be an amateur.
So 132 laps completed now by our overall leader, Renger van der Zande. Turn laps around mid-50s at the moment, so well off the ultimate pace and potential of those cars. They can do 49s quite comfortable, 48s, but the tyres are past their best right now. They've worked hard for the last 40 minutes or last half an hour of this race. We're particularly working their way through the traffic. The gap between the two leaders is now almost 9 seconds, and the gap back to the battle for third and fourth. They should be there. They come past us now. Still number 20 car, Johnny Mollum, ahead of Kyle Marcelli, as they are working their way through that whole train of GTD cars.
Jeremy, 30 minutes to go. You said the final 30 minutes was when this was going to be decided, and you nailed that. As late, great, my dear friend Chris Economack used to say, "Chipped her down for all the marbles." And it's time to put up or shut up here in the last 30 minutes of this Northeast Grand Prix at Lime Rock Park.
Wait a minute, what happened to Giancarlo Fisichella?
He is now dropped to second place. He has been passed by Oliver Gavin.
He must have had a spin, because they weren't particularly close, those two, but it was a slow lap there for Fisichella. So 59.4 to Oliver Gavin's 52.9. So he all of a sudden lost 5 or 6 seconds and now come out in second place. Must have had a spin somewhere, I believe, and I don't know where.
It was either spun or was balked by traffic and had an off-course excursion,
that's
but 5 seconds.
Traffic.
Yeah,
no, that's more than traffic.
That's definitely off course for sure.
Yeah. Plot thickens.
Yes, so a new leader in GTLM, Oliver Gavin in the Corvette. This, if he can hold on, this will be their 3rd win of the year. They are the points leaders. They have used very consistent performances. They only have one race, Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, where they finished out of the top 4 this season. That was a 7th place finish. They have 2 wins, 2 seconds, and a 4th to go with that 7th place finish. There's visual confirmation for us that Fisichella is way out. Looks like he's way out in front by himself.
There he goes.
And then goes off track. He just made a mistake going into Big Bend. He was all by himself.
Yep.
So Giancarlo Fisichella makes a mistake, and that hands the lead to Oliver Gavin. He was, gosh, he was about a 1.5 seconds or so, maybe even more, out in front of Gavin all alone going into Big Bend. Went off on driver's left. That opened the door for Gavin, and we have a new leader in the GTLM category. It's the yellow Corvette number 4, and now he has, in fact, let's see, almost a 3-second lead over Fisichella.
He does. Fisichella, he's back up to speed. Ryan Briscoe was right with him. He edged away slightly on him on that last lap. I think he's back in the groove here. What happened there, it's hard to say, but it's awfully difficult down at a Big Bend because it's a decreasing radius corner. If you carry just a little bit too much speed in there, you're going to run wide onto the dirt. That's exactly what happened to Fizzy. It's his first time here, but you know, that was a clearly an unforced error. There was no other cars around him, I don't believe. Well, there wasn't. And he just slid off wide there and has lost the lead. But there's still half an hour remaining in this race. That Ferrari is working really, really well. There is certainly time to get back on terms with Oliver Gavin.
The 62 is okay. I did check in with the team, and they say there is no damage to the car. So now it's up to Giancarlo to just put his head down and get back up to that position. Unfortunately, the 73 has just made its way down pit lane. Jorg Bergmeister has a damaged right front wheel. It's not flat. It's just much like what we saw in the Continental Tire race.
Oh, Shay, sorry to interrupt. Fisichella is off the racetrack again. Giancarlo Fisichella has made another mistake, or he was helped by one of the Fords, but Fisichella was at the exit of Big Bend this time, not at the center of Big Bend, but on the exit of Big Bend, went off on driver's left, and now he's got a grill full of grass and dirt and dust as the 73 car completed its pit stop. Let's go back to Shay to find out just what all they did. Sorry about that, Shay.
That's all right. It was just fuel and tires for Bergmeister. Yeah, the right front wheel was severely damaged. They run these beautiful red rims on the 73 car, and that one they won't be able to use as a rim anymore in the future. Reese right now trying to decide whether they're going to bring Giancarlo in to clear out the radiator, but it looks like they might just leave the grill full of grass if it'll stay. 85 has made its way in the pit lane as well. The Frankenstein-style JDC Miller Motorsport number 85. Misha Goikberg getting out from behind the wheel. Steven Simpson getting in. He already drove in the race earlier today. He's the one we were forgetting about, Jim.
Ah, that's right. And in fact, Giancarlo Fisichella had some help this time. as he went off the racetrack a little bit, came back on, and then gets punted by the number 67 car, which shoved him off the racetrack. But he put himself in that position where he was going to get hit by the 66, Jeremy, because he made the same mistake again, started to go wide. It wasn't as bad this time as Big Ben, and he came back on the racetrack right in front of the 67, and the 67 really had very little room to get out of his way at that point.
No, that's right. But certainly, there's no doubt that number 67 car, Ryan Briscoe, was pretty forceful. He could have given him a bit of room if he'd wanted to, and he didn't. He used all the track on the exit there, and Ferrari was already there, albeit at much reduced speed, because he'd already been off the road once already on that corner. So, boy, this has been a really difficult few laps for Giancarlo Fisichella. We did talk about it early on. The tyres lose their grip as the stint goes along. They lose about 0.3 of a second inside 10 laps, and they continue to degrade and cause problems for the drivers.
And we talked about surviving the heat in our IHG Rewards Club keys to the race, and that's a case where it could also be driver fatigue, frankly. He hasn't been in the car that long, but it's very hot. It's been under a lot of pressure, and he's made a couple of unforced errors there. And I think probably you and I saw the same thing there, is the fact that, as you said, Briscoe could have given him a little bit more room. I think it was the second time he tagged him. They'd made contact once, and then it looked like Briscoe just kind of kept on shoving him, that where he could have maybe cut him a little bit of slack, and he didn't.
I'll go with that. The battle for third place continues with Johnny Mont. I don't know what it is hanging off the back of Kyle Marcelli's car. It looks a bit of a mess, but he's hanging on there in the fourth place.
That's the legality panel. That's the cheese board. That's been flapping around for the entire race. They decided not to pull it off during one of his pit stops, and so they've just kind of let that flap around out there on the racetrack. As now Andy Lally makes a move on the number 23 car.
Wow.
So Lally has now worked his way all the way up to second place as he goes by Alex Rubieras in the number 23. Look out, Jerome Bleekemolen. Here comes Andy Lally in the Magnus Racing number 44. We said he was on a charge. He really is, as now he's right on the tailpipes of Bleekemolen.
He is, and absolutely flying. He's made up 3 positions in the last 3 laps, and now he's got his sights very much set on Jerome Bleekemolen. You know, he's a canny campaigner, is Andy Lally. A great first stint by John Pullard to keep that car in contention. And Andy Lally has done the job from there. We knew that car was fast. He's been fast in each of the practice sessions, and he hadn't done many laps prior to the race. But he knew he had the pace in the car. Now he's stalking Jerome Bleekemolen, and I think it's just a matter of time. Jerome is going to have to be really crafty here. He has good straight line speed. That's what is in his favour here. But Andy Lally has the faster car on the lap.
Yeah, Andy Lally now looking around the outside at the exit of Big Ben. Nothing doing there. Bleekemolen does a good job of, hey, Andy, you know, you're not going to make that pass this time. Now, if Lally can get side by side going into Big Ben, then that will give him, he's got the handling to stay on the outside of Bleekemolen, and that will give him the position going into turn 2. That time he couldn't quite make it stick, as they're coming up on the slower car, the number 540. So again, that car will probably get freight trained by this freight train of GTD cars as they come onto the front straightaway. The 44 car, of course, that team won the 24 Hours of Daytona and has kind of been the standard bearer for Audi this year, as they have had 2 other podiums besides Daytona, the victory. They had a 3rd at Sebring and a 2nd at Watkins Glen. So, and here is exactly what we thought would happen, as Andy Lally has gone side by side with Jerome Bleekemolen, and it literally goes around the outside. He doesn't even wait for turn 2 to finish the move. Jerome Bleekemolen, Buffalo Girls, around the outside of Andy Lally, around the outside of Jerome Bleekemolen to make the pass and take over. And look at him go, Jeremy. Yeah. He's gone.
Yeah, brilliant drive, absolutely fantastic. Credit also there to Jerome Bleekemolen. He knew he was on a losing wicket there. He knew that the Audi was much, much faster, so he didn't do anything silly. He didn't take himself out of potential podium finish. Hats off also there, by the way, to Andy Pilgrim, the number 540 car. He's a couple of laps down, or 1 lap down actually only, but he was in the middle of that mix as well and made sure he got out of the way to let leaders get on with their battle.
Let's check in with the 44 car. Andy Lally is famous for his dietary regime, Shay, being a vegan and everything else. They feed him a little red meat before they send him out?
John Potter water. What exactly did you feed Andy Lally for lunch? Because whatever it was, it's working.
Well, I think Andy Lally, it must be that vegan power. Must have been what he ate for breakfast. But, you know, the crew prepared a great car, and Andy's taking full advantage of it to make some really dicey moves out there. Lime Rock's a real tough track to race at, really tough to pass at, and he's made, I don't know, a ton of great passes today. He's made them clean and safe, and 21 minutes, hopefully we'll have something good to show for it.
Yeah, you're not going to say anything before then. How was the car during your stint, though?
No, the car is a very good car. You know, this track is a tough one. It's only 7 turns. It seems simple, but it's actually one of the more technical ones we race. And it's a great car, handling well. You know, the tire wear was a big concern, and we are getting, of course, to the later end of the tires. So anything can happen, but Andy knows how to handle it.
20 minutes to go.
Well, out on the racetrack while we were talking to Andy Lally's teammate, became full contact sports car racing again as Alex Rubiera is seeing Andy Lally running off into the distance, made contact with the number 33 of Jerome Bleekemolen going into the chicane. That sent Bleekemolen straight up the escape road as there was no way he could turn in, but the 23 car was then slowed and got passed by Robin Liddell and and then Bleekemolen was able to get by as well. So Bleekemolen, we're seeing Andy Lally make the pass as it was just absolutely perfect. He used the 54 car as the 540 car as a pick, went around the outside. The 540 car held his line, but unfortunately that left Jerome Bleekemolen nowhere to go. Then Andy Lally took off, and once he did, that really put the pressure on Rubieras because he didn't want to see Andy Lally going off into the distance. He got impatient. He tagged Bleekemolen and now has had to come to the pit. Shay, what did they do to the car?
They just did 4 new tires for Alex. No fuel or any work on the car at all. So now we'll see what he can do with some fresh Contis. First time to Lime Rock Park for Alex. He's learning it the hard way.
Yeah, and I think he just got impatient, Jeremy, and got in too deep. He with the left front, he tagged the right rear of Bleekemolen and sent him up the racetrack. But stomping on the brakes, he lost all his momentum. And so now your running order is Audi, Dodge, as Andy Lally is now being chased by the number 6 of Robin Liddell, and Jerome Bleekemolen is still out there in a podium position in the number 33 car.
Tremendous racing though, isn't it? Absolutely wonderful to watch. Andy Lally putting on a clinic here, but everybody else is battling amongst themselves. And
yeah, he's putting on a clinic, but now he has his hands full with Robin Liddell. Just when you thought it was safe to grab a drink of water, Jeremy, we look down and Andy Lally is trying to defend against Robin Liddell going into Big Bend. So Liddell in the Stevenson Motorsports number 6 with the red trim, Andy Lally in the silver and green Magnus Racing Audi number 44 as they head up through the chicane. Oh, Liddell overcooked it going into the chicane, and he made a hash of that. And now that's going to let Andy Lally pull out probably a couple-second lead at this point as Robin Liddell just overcooked it going into the chicane.
That's light years in the way this race has been going, because there's never been more than a couple of car lengths between any of the leaders, I don't think, all the way through this race. 141 laps now completed by the leaders in GTD, and Jerome Bleekemolen is still holding on to that 3rd place. He's dropping back, but it's still been a really good run for the Viper, the Riley Motorsports Viper this afternoon. That flapping rear diffuser certainly won't help, but he's managed to stay ahead of Brian Sellers in the number 48 to Paul Miller Racing Lamborghini. And then the battle of the BMWs behind that, the two of them absolutely nose to tail. Michael Paltela and Jens Klingman battling away, along with Spencer Propelli is in the thick of that battle too.
And after he had contact, after the 23 car made contact with the 33, the next 2 laps by, the crew went out to the wall and tried to look at the back end of that car as it went by, because the diffuser was hanging down on the right-hand side of the car, the right rear of the car, and he got tagged on basically that spot, and they wanted to see if the diffuser had gotten any looser or not. And it doesn't look like, well, it looks, actually now it looks like it is broken. Before it was just flapping, but now it looks like it's broken, and that will really change the handling characteristics on that car for poor Jerome Bleekemolen.
Yeah, we've now got a Corvette 1-2, haven't we? Because Antonio Garcia has managed to find a way past Ryan Briscoe. Did that a couple of laps ago. So it's Oliver Gavin who leads now by a couple of seconds or so over his teammate Antonio Garcia. Then the 2 Fords, which are being split by Giancarlo Fisichella in that Ferrari. The Ferrari clearly doesn't have the pace right now, and that's exactly what the team expected earlier in this race. They knew that tyre wear was going to be critical, and I think he's just struggling now with those tyres on that car. He's using the softer tyres here. The fact that we have some cloud cover at the moment is certainly helping, but I think the damage is already done. He's pushed those tyres so hard through the last, 40 minutes or so of this fantastic battle. I think he's probably pretty much used them up.
He took over with an hour to go. He was nice and fresh, and he went out and he drove that thing as hard as he could, and he probably did use up those tires, and now he's paying for it as he has dropped back all the way to fourth position behind the Ford number 67. I think the 67 car has run afoul of some traffic. He might have got bumped around a little bit in some of that trying to get through the GTD cars, and that allowed the number 3 car with Antonio Garcia to get through. So as you rightly pointed out, Jeremy, it's Corvette 1-2, and that's after they kind of had a rough go there for a while in the middle of the season, but they've kind of righted the ship since Le Mans. They had a second place at a third and a second at Mosport. So now they're those cars moving up the podium one more spot if they can hold sway in the final 15 minutes here with the 4 and the 3 car.
So 151 laps now completed by our race leader, Renger van der Zande, and that gap from first to second has come whistling down as the leaders have been working their way through traffic once again. It was out to about 8-9 seconds, but all of a sudden it's down to just over a second as they get past on the last lap. There's still 14 minutes to go. And there's the number 23, Alex Bubras, bringing the Heart of Racing Alex Job entry, the Porsche onto pit lane one more time.
Is that a pit stop or a penalty?
No, it's they're worried about the front suspension, actually,
okay.
Jim. They came in a lap ago to check it. They sort of did the shaking the wheels thing to see if everything was okay. They determined that it wasn't, but they didn't want him to go a lap down. So they just brought him back in, took the front tires off, popped the hood up, and looked at it a little bit closer. But it doesn't seem like they can see anything because they're putting the tires back on. They're going to send him back out again. But that number 13 on the side of the door is not the points day that the people who are second in the championship were hoping for.
That's for sure. It's been a rough weekend for them all the way around, Jeremy. We didn't see the type of performance we expected to see from that team in qualifying, and certainly the race has not gone true to form for them as well.
No, that's right. Both drivers have made mistakes is really what it boils down to. It's Mario Farnbacher that made a mistake in qualifying yesterday, ran off the road when his tyres were at their ultimate peak and wasn't able to get the extract the maximum potential out. So he started back in 6th place, I think it was, 5th or 6th place, and then the team knew that it's not easy to make passes here. The Porsche isn't the fastest car on the straights in GTD, so it's been a battle from there. And then, as you described a little while ago, Jim, there was Alex Bubras involved in contact out there at the chicane.
So, Jeremy, it almost seems like it's settled down.
Sort of kind, eh?
Yeah, exactly.
What's the battle for the lead? They're the two leaders. Here they are. They're coming up now towards the uphill chicane. Unfortunately, Fisichella really seemed to block the number 52 car of Tom Kimber-Smith. That certainly cost him some time. And once again, what's he doing? That was ridiculous. He moved from one side of the road to the other there. Absolutely no need for that. The PC car is going to be faster there. I can't imagine what was going through Fisichella's mind.
So we'll keep an eye on that battle between the Starworks number 8, Renger van der Zande, and the PR1 Matheson number 52 of Tom Kimber-Smith. Meanwhile, in GTD, while it has settled down a little bit at the front, a little bit further back, it's still wide open as the 48, the 9, the 48 Lamborghini, the 9 Audi, the 96 and 97 BMWs are all battling with Spencer Pumpelly, who's all the way back in 8th position now. Poor Spencer's been like a yo-yo. He's been 4th, he's been 8th, he's been 3rd, now he's back to 8th again. So he's had all kinds of efforts. Now, sad news, and that's going to have an impact on our championship. Shea Adam, the 23 car is finished.
It's behind the wall, and the international symbol for "we're done" was just given. So close. And these guys who got all excited when they saw that the 63 was having troubles, because of course the 63 is a championship leader by a whopping 22 points coming into today's race. 23 thought they had an opportunity, but now they will score fewer points than the 63 if they don't get back out, and it looks like they won't.
That's a little bit of karma, I guess, because the 63 car was having this trouble. None of their own doing is now. Oh, poor Tom Kimber-Smith. He just can't catch a break. He finally got by Giancarlo Fisichella, and now going into the chicane, Van der Zande was able to get by the 44 and the 67, and Tom Kimber-Smith was stuck behind them again. So he just can't catch a break in traffic at this point, as we are coming up on 10.5 minutes remaining in the Northeast Grand Prix for 2016. In the GTD category, Andy Lally has now stretched out a good margin over Robin Liddell. He's got a 3-second lead over Liddell. Liddell then has a 10-second margin over Jerome Blinkenmolen. So the train that had been a train for 2 hours and 30 minutes has now separated themselves out. Looks like the best battle in GTD right now is going to be 4th through 8th.
Yeah, it does, isn't it? That's certainly shuffled its way around a lot over the last 15-20 minutes of this race, and Andy Lally has now just got to be cool and calm, bin and car home. Meanwhile, same in GT-LM, because the two leaders now, the two Corvettes, have inched away from Ryan Briscoe in 3rd place, and they are looking potentially 1-2 finish. That would be a remarkable result for that team, as the overall leaders are working their way past. Here we are now. They split up that battle for 3rd and 4th. Is Renger van der Zande, who's in between those two cars here, and right with them also is Tom Kimber-Smith, who got 1, 2, 3, 4 cars here. Kyle Marcelli has actually got past Johnny Molan, so that's the good news, but he's got to maintain that position with the two overall leaders trying to get past him as well.
And in fact, Tom Kimber-Smith is trying to get by Johnny Molan as well, so that he can try and run down Renger van der Zande in the final 9 minutes of this race. So he's got to work hard to get by Molan, who's got the pedal down. Oh, and he can't get by the Corvette. He being Tom Kimber-Smith, he finally does get by the 3 car, but he did have to slow down a little bit going into the entrance of Big Bend to keep from running into the back end of that Corvette number 3, but he's gotten by. So now he's got to get by Molan. He's got to get by, or Van der Zande is going to run off behind. Yeah,
that's what he had done before. He'd run off and hit because he was 9 seconds down the road, but that came all the way down again. And it's a question now of who's looked after their tyres the best. Oh, Johnny Molan, what's he doing? What is the point? Okay, well, fine. Johnny Molan there protected the line, his line going to West Bend, not quite sure why. He's a lap down. He's losing ground to the 3rd place car of Kyle Marcelli, and he just blocked the 2nd place car, who's his countryman, of course. I don't know whether that's significant, but that's really poor driving from Johnny Molan. He's doing it again here at Big Bend. What's the point, Johnny? You're classier than that. Okay, your car is clearly past its best now in terms of its tyre wear. There's bits hanging off it as well, but now he's just being cynical, I'm afraid. I hate to say it, because he's a really good guy, Johnny Molan. He had an incident with James French.
Actually, because he is such a good guy.
He is, but he had an incident with James French at Watkins Glen a few weeks ago, and that, when you look at all the onboard cameras, that was quite clearly Johnny Molan's incident to avoid. He chose not to, and as a result of that, he had a big crash. It was really of his making. And he tried to claim it otherwise, but when you look at all the video, it's quite clear that Johnny was at fault, and now he's just being cynical, and that's very, very disappointing for somebody who I've always regarded with a lot of class.
Van der Zande now with a 3.5 second lead over Tom Kimber-Smith with just 7 minutes remaining. Kimber-Smith still can't get by Molan, as now they come up on the number 4 Corvette. Straightaway.
Johnny doesn't want to let him pass, so he's not going to. He's clearly decided that. I don't know if there's any history between these two in the past, but There's absolutely no need for this. He's just ruining the race for the PR1 Motorsports team. Done a really fine job, and Tom Kimber-Smith got that car back up into contention again with the Renger van der Zande, but now van der Zande is way clear.
This could be a big day for Corvette, because I believe this could be the 100th victory.
Yes,
Been
that's
stuck
right,
on 99
yeah.
for quite a while.
Very good point.
So this could be the 100th victory for Corvette, and it would be the 60th 1-2 finish for Corvette Racing. If this holds, that's 60 1-2 finishes. The two prototypes have gotten by Oliver Gavin. 5 minutes 45 seconds to go. This has basically handed the race to Render van der Zande, as he's now got a 4-second lead. Kimber-Smith is now right on the tailpipes of Mullen. He's going to get through this time. No, he's not going to get through this time. Mullen didn't take the middle of the road, but he held enough speed that coming down through the diving turn. Now, still nose to tail. And now he makes the move. Diving down the inside is Tom Kimber-Smith, and I think he is now finally gotten by. Yes, he has. He has gotten by Johnny Mullen and is heading towards now trying to make up almost a 6-second deficit in the last 5 minutes of this race. Yeah, he's going to have to take a second lap out of Renger van der Zande, and that is a tall order. Yeah, he is not going to be happy with Johnny Mullen.
No, that ain't going to happen. No, he lost nearly 2 seconds on the last lap. He lost about a second on the lap before as well, did Tom Kimber-Smith, so I don't think there's much chance. It's still been a great run for him, because they got that car in the contention. A fabulous early stint by Robert Alon, really impressive. And in third place now, having finally got past Johnny Mullen a long time ago now, Kyle Marcelli is running a good pace. He's staying ahead of Renger van der Zande. He's not van der Zande. Looks like a lockup.
Yeah, a little bit of a lockup, it looks like.
Is Johnny Mullen's car there? Yeah, okay. So he's clearly struggling with that car now. But Kyle Marcelli, he's running a good pace. I don't think he's holding up Renger van der Zande. He didn't seem to be making any moves in defence. He's in third place overall. He's trying to stay on the lead lap just in case there's a late caution. But with only 4 minutes to go, that's a forlorn hope, because if it does the caution now, the race will end on the caution.
Yeah, now van der Zande has a 6.5-second lead, so certainly he's not being held up by Kyle Marcelli, as he continues to pull out his margin over Tom Kimber-Smith. Oliver Gavin now with a 2 and an almost 3-second lead over his teammate Antonio Garcia. So that's kind of been the order of finish this year. In their 1-2 at Daytona, it was the 4 over the 3. And, last week at Mosport, it was the 4 finishing second, the 3 finishing third. So they're kind of running in formation at this point. In GTD, as we're into the final 3 minutes of the race, it's the Audi of Andy Lally leading, chased by Robin Liddell, who's 2 seconds back. Then it's Jerome Bleekemolen, who's hanging on desperately to that podium spot in the number 43 car, being chased by Brian Sellers, who's only 0.8 seconds back. Then Lawson Aschenbach is 4 tenths of a second now behind Sellers. And then Jens Klingman in the number 96 Turner Motorsports BMW is a further 4 tenths of a second back behind Aschenbach.
Yeah, and Jerome Bleekemolen is falling a long way back now, isn't he? Almost over 15 seconds behind Robin Liddell, who has managed to reduce the deficit a little bit to Andy Lally, but it's 2 seconds with only 2 minutes remaining. So really all Andy's got to do is just not make any mistakes over the last couple of laps. But Bleekemolen is able to maintain that position now over Brian Sellers. It's not really Brian Sellers close enough to make a challenge.
So 2 minutes to go, just a little bit over 2 minutes, 2 minutes and 8 seconds remaining. So now it comes down to the part of the race where nobody is really being pressed at this point. Although Tom Kimber-Smith has made up 2 seconds on Renger van der Zande, now just 4.1 seconds behind. And now, am I seeing that correctly, Jeremy? Now just 1.8 seconds behind. Tom Kimber-Smith's like he's been shot out of a gun.
Yeah, 2 laps to go it'll be, because I'm pretty sure we'll see the white flag next time around. And the number 66 Ford GT has fallen off the pace lately as well. Dirk Mueller is falling a long way back. from the number 62 Ferrari of Giancarlo Fisichella.
So just when we thought this one was kind of in the bag for Renger van der Zande, he now has to be concerned with Tom Kimber-Smith, who was 6 seconds, 6+ seconds behind. He's now just less than 2 seconds behind at 1.8 seconds with about 2 laps remaining in the race. Oh, there comes van der Zande, and there is Tom Kimber-Smith. He can see him. So, boy, that's like driving a rally stage. When you've caught the guy in front of you, you can see it. You tend to get the bit between your teeth, and that's certainly the case with Tom Kimber-Smith, as now he is just 0.8 of a second behind, and now working through traffic, he is right on the tailpipe of Renger van der Zande. I wonder if van der Zande has just used up his tires or if he's got a problem, because Tom Kimber-Smith has swallowed him up. He's right on his tailpipe as they come through the chicane. They've got the 38 car in front of him.
Who needs to get out of the way, Jim.
Van der Zande is now going to want the 38 car out of his way right away. Going to be white flag this time by Tanya Cortell. Our starter's got the white flag in her hand. She'll be showing it to Renger van der Zande as they come through the diving turn. And now, in fact, he does get the wave by from the 38 car. Now the 38 car better let Tom Kimber-Smith through. He didn't, so that's a tough break for Tom Kimber-Smith. He's run afoul of traffic twice now, but that's going to give van der Zande probably everything he needs to hold off Tom Kimber-Smith as the white flag goes for the number 4 car. The 44 car will be taking the white flag next. Trying to see what the situation is, how far behind Tom Kimber-Smith is as they go through sector 2. There they are, nose to tail as they've gone up the hill through the chicane. I don't think Tom Kimber-Smith's going to be able to get close enough to make a challenge, but he's going to get close enough to make it a really good finish for the team. He'll be less than half a second behind as Renger van der Zande wins the 2016 edition of the Northeast Grand Prix over Tom Kimber-Smith by 0.8 of a second. In GTLM, it's going to be Oliver Gavin in the number 4 Corvette who comes down off the diving turn. It's going to be 1-2 for Corvette, the 100th victory for Corvette Racing, along with the 60th 1-2 finish for the team as the number 3 car of Antonio Garcia goes through. And in GTD, waiting for Andy Lally to come through. He's being chased by Robin Liddell. Just 1.5 seconds separate them. Here comes that crew as they come down off the diving turn. It's the 44 to its second win of the year and a second podium in a row for the 66 car. Or the 6 car, I'm sorry, the 6 Audi of Stevenson Racing. So a fantastic performance by Andy Pilgrim. If we were going to do an aggressive drive of the race, I'd have to give it to Andy Pilgrim. That was an absolute... Andy Lally, sorry. Yeah. I'm getting carried away with myself.
Well, no, I mean, what a tremendous motor race. There was so much going on from start to finish, and almost sneaking up at the end there was number 67 car right up into the tail of the 2 Corvettes as they crossed the finish line. I mean, there was nothing between the 3 of them as they came across the line.
Let's go to, sorry, Jeremy, let's go to Shay.
Down here at Corvette, everybody's slapping hands and celebrating, and Doug Feehan, it wasn't a question of if, when, and who would give you that 100th win. We have the answer, Tommy Milner and Ollie Gavin. What a performance today by all the Corvette men and women.
You know, ordinarily we will share the victory. Engineering comes first, obviously crew second, drivers. Today, obviously the engineers did a magnificent job in setting the car up. Crew guys, great pit stops. Today, it's in the driver's hands. At Lime Rock Park at 1.4 miles, with this kind of traffic, the drivers earned it today. They get my tip of the hat.
They did a fantastic job, Tommy and Ollie both. Difficult conditions. Just how you seeing this finally coming to fruition?
You know, any victory is pretty cool. And when you've got 99 of them, you know, it's hard to pick out. But 100, who would have ever thought? This is just a testament to what this team is capable of doing. And I knew with the conditions the way they were today, with the intense heat, that takes a toll on everybody. I really thought that gave us a distinct advantage over the rest of the teams, and it worked out that way. We raced the whole race, and you look at those times on the that kind of racing in a long time. That's what the fans pay to see.
Well, I know you're already thinking about the 101st victory, but enjoy 100.
I'm going to try and enjoy it a little bit, yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you, Shay.
There's a man who bleeds Millennium Yellow. So absolutely fantastic performance. As Renger van de Zande gets the checkered flag, and after some celebratory spinning of the tires, let's go back to Corvette. Tommy Milner.
100 more.
Tommy, yeah, Gary says 100 more. You're going to bring him those 100 next?
That would be awesome. That would be great. If I could be with this team that long, that'd be fantastic. But what a job today from these guys, from Ali, the whole crew, everyone on this team. We've worked really hard together this year. Had some great wins early on. We've kind of had some struggles there for a bit, but been fighting really hard here. And what a way to get 100, 1-2 for the team. That's just so special.
Congrats, Tommy.
Thank you.
So the 60th 1-2 finish for the team. As Renger van de Zande pulls up to the start-finish line and waves the checkered flag. Oliver Gavin gets out and has a big high five and hug for Bib, the Michelin man. So happy Oliver Gavin. Andy Lally also pulls in to start-finish. They've taken all of the winners out to the start-finish line. So what an absolutely fantastic performance by Andy Lally. In the Magnus Racing Audi. So that is the second victory for that team this season. They won at Daytona. They had a third at Sebring, a second at Watkins Glen, and now a second victory. They were third in the points coming in. This is really going to help them out in the points championship as well, isn't it, Jeremy?
Yeah, sorry, who are you talking about?
The 44 car.
The 44 car. Yeah, I was just doing the points in GTD. It certainly is. The 212 car will still lead. 212 car. The number 60. What was it? 63 car, isn't it? Of,
yes.
Christina Nielsen and Alessandro Balzan. They finished way down. They finished in the 11th position in the class, so it's a good comeback actually after all those incidents. They will now have 212 points, and I reckon Andy Lally and John Potter will vault ahead of Mario Farnbacher and Alex Rubras into second place on 199. So Christina Nielsen and Alessandro Balzan came in with a 22-point lead. They leave here with a 13-point advantage only over Andy Lally and John Potter. And then behind them, another 12 points back will be Farnbacher and Ribras. 1 point behind them will be Jerome Blekemolen and Ben Keating. And 1 point behind them will be Robin Liddell and Andrew Davis. So that is really heating up.
So the point standings are much like the racing.
Absolutely right. Changing all the time.
Too close to call. Oh. And then in the GTLM category, of course, the Corvettes came in leading in first place. Just ahead of the number 67 Corvette. They had about a 5-point lead coming into the race, and they are going to pad that lead, aren't they, Jeremy?
Corvettes, yes, they are, indeed they are. Oliver Gavin and Tommy Milner, they came in with a 5-point edge over Richard Westbrook and Ryan Briscoe. They'll pad that by another 5 points. Because Briscoe and Westbrook finish in the third position today. So that'll be a 10-point advantage now for Gavin and Milner. In the Manufacturers' Championship, ditto, Chevy will extend its lead. It was 7 points. It's now 10 points over Ford in the GTLM Manufacturers' Championship. And just a quick note on the GTD manufacturers. That was tied between Ferrari and Audi coming into this weekend. Porsche just 2 points behind. So that victory for Andy Lally and Magnus Racing will move Audi into the lead on their own. Clear leaders now in the GTD Manufacturers' Championship.
So all of the race winners have been gathered out at start-finish. And Oliver Gavin getting the hugs of the crew. Corvette, it's a close-knit racing family. And you can see the joy and emotion on these guys' faces. 100 victories now for Corvette Racing, and 60 of them 1-2 finishes. That's an absolutely fantastic performance. Let's check back in with Shea Adam.
Brad Kettler, 1-2 for Audi. That's one heck of a day for you guys. Were you expecting that coming into the race?
Woo, I'll say that first. No, we weren't expecting it. We were cautiously optimistic. You know, the Audis have run good here before in the past, but I really got to hand it to Team Magnus and Team Stevenson. Both teams executed incredibly well. And Andy wasn't going to be denied today. It was just, I don't know what got into him, but I'm glad it did.
It was a little bit of the 4 rings that got into his blood, don't you think?
Well, yeah, these cars are tough. I mean, we finished with a lot of pickup rubber in the cooling system and stuff, and you know, they're engineered well to run in the hot weather like we talked about earlier, and it really showed today. The pedigree of all the testing and Vorsprung durch Technik is evident today.
Congrats, Brad, and he's not kidding. There is no air left to go in through there. It's solid rubber.
Thanks, Shea.
Shea Adam with Brad Kettler, who's the man behind the Audi customer racing program that supplies not only the cars, but also all the parts and support for these Audi teams like Magnus and Stevenson Motorsport. So he's a man that has direct involvement in how things are going. So the victory celebrations continuing. Shea will be talking to our overall race leader shortly, as well as our winners in the 44 and the 4 car. Jeremy, what's the points going to look like in PC?
In PC, Alex Popow and Renger van der Zende will extend their lead by another 3 points over Robert Alon and Tom Kimber-Smith. Another really close-fought battle here today. Less than a second between them at the start-finish line, but it's been a good day once again for Starworks Motorsports. That is that team's 3rd win in the last 3 races. It makes it now 7 podium finishes in a row for that pairing. So it's been an absolutely stellar season for the number 8 crew of Alex Popow and Renger van der Zende. They really deserve that win today. They do a magnificent job. And like I say, they haven't been off the podium since the very first race of the season, where they finished 4th. So that's a very stout effort. That is what wins you championships. Alex Popow knows all about that. He's done it before.
Renger van der Zende, of course I want to talk about it. I always want to talk with you. You ate a banana.